Hello, my friends in film fandom. What's going down? Wherever you may be, however you may be watching, thank you for giving us just a little bit of your time. We're back here again to go over all the craziness that's going on in the world of entertainment and news surrounding all the cool movie stuff, as well as continuing our series of retro film reviews on the Jurassic Park franchise. Here to do all that stuff with me are my good friends, the first one being the Dowager Countess, Lady Cora. How are you doing tonight, ma'am?
I'm doing well. I had a non-crazy work day today, the first time in weeks, so it's been a good day.
Those are the only good work days, the non-crazy ones. The problem is there's so few and far between anymore.
Yeah.
And joining us, as always, is my hetero life mate, the live-action version of Ian Malcolm, my friend Jeremy. What's going on, brother?
Not much. I'm excited to talk about this movie, even though Dr. Malcolm is not in it. But I have an unpopular opinion that I actually liked this movie when it came out, and also I watched it again and still liked it, so attack me in the comments as you will.
Yes. Yeah,
you're wrong!
Yes, send all your hate mail to GrimTuesday23. Link in the description below. And since we're walking down this crazy path blazed by all the great paleontologists, we have our resident, not just dinosaur expert, but Jurassic Park expert, Brooding Gamer. What's going on, my man?
Grant.
It's a dinosaur, man! I'm obligated to say
Hello. It's kind of a staple on my channel now. People will call me dinosaur.
You need one of those sashes like a beauty queen that says Mr. Jurassic Park.
I'll just get the "When the Dinosaurs Roam the Earth" banner and just wear it on.
There we go.
That'd be
perfect. That would work.
Yeah.
I could do that. But plenty of stuff to go into tonight. We're going to start with a sad story that broke right around, lunchtime my time today. Why don't we go into that first story, Lady Cora?
Ray Liotta, the steely, blue-eyed, intense actor from New Jersey, best known for his role as hustler-turned-mob informant Henry Hill in the 1990 classic film Goodfellas, has passed away suddenly at the age of 67. His rep confirmed to THR that the actor died in his sleep in the Dominican Republic where he was filming the project Dangerous Waters. Jeremy, what are some of your favorite memories of Ray Liotta?
Well, I actually have a pretty big one right off the bat, given that, I mean, I might surprise you because you would probably think I'm going with a movie, and I'm actually not. I'm going to go with a video game, which should come to no surprise. That's what my board is for. I played the absolute shit out of GTA Vice City when I was younger, which may explain some things, but, you know. That does prove there is no link to violence in video games. But he was obviously the main character that you play as, Tommy Vercetti, which I don't think they really tried really hard with that name. You have Vice City and his name's Vercetti, so whatever. I always thought that was
used a machete.
Yeah, you can. There is a machete in that game. And speaking of that, there's also a joke. There's a chainsaw hidden in one of the rooms that definitely does not look like the bathroom from Scarface. And also, the ending of the game was definitely not Scarface either, because it looked like the same exact office, the same mansion, all that crap. But, yeah, making fun of names. It's Lance. It's time for the Lance Vance dance, as he says. Yeah, it's. I didn't know that obviously when I was younger, but when I got older and I realized, oh, that guy from Goodfellas, like Frank says, all my life all I ever wanted to be was a gangster. I'm like, that guy is the main character in Vice City. I'm like, that fits. That's perfect. It's I don't know. I thought it was amazing. I'm like, that's and that was one of those important games to me that I'm like, that's what I don't know. I just had fun running around, totally not Miami, just stealing cars, running hookers over. The good days of video games.
The good old days of online.
Yeah, when you get
an average Friday.
Yeah, when you get to run over hookers, take their money and stuff like that. I mean, you probably still can, but to a degree. Yeah, that game always had a really special place to me, and that was something I did, that really got me into gaming because I hung out with my neighbor all the time. And that's what we would do. We'd hang out and play that game. That and then obviously like Goodfellas, Field of Dreams, I almost said League of Their Own. That's not it. Sorry. There's no crying in baseball, but man, this was sad.
Yeah. What about you, Brooding Gamer? I mean, this guy's been acting for a long, long time. What are some of your memories of Ray Liotta?
So he always creeped me out. I'm like he always played there was a few movies he played in where he was actually like a decent guy, but I mean, or like he played a decent character. He wasn't like, I'm going to blow shit up and steal things. I don't know why he always just kind of creeped me out. Like he was that uncle that you didn't really want to talk to when you went to a cookout, but he always wanted to like randomly punch you on the arm and talk about sports, even though you've met him 3 times in your entire life. Kind of an uncle.
You need to talk about something, man.
Therapy sessions with Brooding Gamer.
So when did this all
spin-off series? Spin-off series. I liked him though. Like I mean, well, the last, honestly, it's funny enough. I was flipping through channels and stuff and found B-Movie on TV, and that was the last movie I guess you could say I saw him in was B-Movie because he's in it for like 3 seconds as a cameo.
Sorry.
No, I love it. I don't remember what happens in that movie. He's like, "Do you know who I am?" And he's like, freaks the hell out. But yeah, that it kind of caught me off guard because I mean he's only 60. What was he? 67.
67, yeah.
Like, and no, I mean, hell, the dude's on multiple commercials for good health and medications. Maybe. Wait a minute. I honestly, like when you messaged me about that earlier today, Frank, I was like, "What the? Wait, hold on now."
My phone is.
It sucks. We're losing a lot of actors these days, and
there we go.
Yeah, one of the most tragic things about him passing right now is that even though he had never really been out of acting, his career had kind of leveled off a bit. He seemed like, he had been in so many movies like Goodfellas, Field of Dreams, so on and so forth, that his career just kind of tailed off, but he was having what a lot of people were considering a resurgence lately with a bunch of movies. He had something like, I mean, today it came out that he was filming one project that actually sounds really interesting, and he had 3 more that were finished, that were in post-production. So we still have plenty of Ray Liotta still to be released that we can enjoy. But he starting the last several years with like the role that he played in Many Saints of Newark, the Sopranos prequel, showing the young Tony Soprano and how he came to be. It's like he plays his uncle in that, going back to kind of the mob roots of his big break. It's like he had been in so many things that were so well acclaimed. He just finished filming a season of a big TV show. I forget the name of it. Not Black Sheep. What the hell's it called? Anyway, it was getting critically. It was getting a lot of love. So it's like his career was kind of hitting a big upswing. And again, he was down in the Dominican Republic filming something, and out of nowhere just went to sleep and died. They make this very clear. There is no foul play. They believe involved. They don't believe any drugs were involved. It may have just been one of those things where, he's 67. Not old, but not young. You know what I mean? That kind of thing tends to happen around that age. But, it's unfortunate that his death has to come at a time where he's becoming more and more significant. Some of the roles that stand out from him to me, obviously being the baseball fan that I am, big Giants fan, I've loved baseball for years, is the Field of Dreams. The very young Ray Liotta playing this sheepish ghost version of Shoeless Joe Jackson, who for baseball fans is a topic of discussion, even 100 years later is a topic of discussion amongst baseball fans. But I mean, from that all the way through some of his other movies, the guy had such great range. And it's funny that Brooding Gamer says that he has this look of somebody who, like the uncle you don't want to run into at the family barbecue, is everybody I've heard talk over the last, 6 or so hours since this news broke has said exactly the opposite about him. That working with him was phenomenal. That he was one of the nicest guys who he plays characters like, Henry Hill, where he's a gangster, he plays a murderer or an asshole FBI agent, or in a couple of movies even straight up villain. But to know him in real life, he was actually just the most down to earth, very normal, very sweet person. And it is kind of funny to hear that about people, especially actors. We always tend to get an idea because of the roles they play of what kind of people they are. Sometimes we are way off. We're just way off. But that's what a lot of people have been saying about him. Actually, I think even Laura Dern actually took to Twitter today. We'll talk about her a little bit here later. She had worked with Ray Liotta on a movie back in the mid '90s, and she had apparently gone out and said, yeah, he was a wonderful person to work with, the absolute sweetest, was very, very kind and gentle, and he was not that rough and gruff guy. He just looked like it, but he was so personable and wonderful to talk to, and he really engaged with people when he conversated. It's very unfortunate that we had to lose him, especially so suddenly. I mean, it'd be nice to see some of these actors that we've loved for years kind of do what Sean Connery did. I mean, Sean Connery was just like, I've had enough and retired, and he spent the last probably 20 years of his life in just peace and quiet, living the life that he wanted to live. But whereas sometimes, a lot of these guys that had some great careers just don't get that lucky. Cora, you're a fan of Ray Liotta. What do you think of his passing?
Well, my first memory of him was Field of Dreams, and then from there, I didn't really see the movies that he was a gangster in all that much. So I have a different kind of persona of him. I never saw Goodfellas. So him and Karina, which touched on interracial relationships, which was a very big deal in the 90s, against with Whoopi Goldberg, was the next one I remember. And then when he was in Hannibal, he played the asshole FBI agent who had his brain.
Yep.
Dude, that scene is awesome.
I'm not going to say because it's, people might be eating. But my favorite of all is Heartbreakers. It was him doing comedy as this, kind of like low level, sleazy, under the table black market engine part sales guy out of Jersey, chasing Sigourney Weaver, and being in love and being this. It's funny. And Ray Liotta doing comedy. I've seen that movie 20 times, so I love it. But he also was in. I loved his role in Blow against Johnny Depp, and I don't know. He was okay in Wild Hogs, but he was really good in Smoking Aces as well.
Oh, I forgot he was in Wild Hogs too.
Yeah,
we keep bringing more up, and I'm like, that. Yep, there. Yeah.
And John Q, he played the cop. And so he's done drama really well, but except for Heartbreakers, I can't think of many comedy movies where he's funny. And so maybe that's I think he's one of the big reasons why I love that movie so much. He seems to, or did seem to, really just have a passion for the work of being an actor. He kept his personal life personal. I couldn't tell you anything about his personal life if I tried. And he just enjoyed his work and did well and went home. He didn't seem like a traditional celebrity. I really respect that about him.
Yeah, actually,
brings up comedy. I was gonna say funny how?
Yeah, that scene was improvised, believe it or not.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about like they don't give off that same vibe as the character. I'm like, you're gonna tell me like I can just go and hug a big little teddy bear like Joe Pesci and he's just like the happiest guy on earth? I don't know. I feel like he'd stab me if I looked at him the wrong way. At that same scene where everyone's just holding their breath. Yeah, funny how? Am I funny? Like I'm a clown? Like I amuse you? The fuck out of here, dude. Like,
I don't know what my mom is watching in the living room there. I've got a window, but it's Ray Liotta, so that's oddly enough.
Hey, and my friend just posted they're watching, I think, Identity or something. They just posted a.
Oh, it's E.T. Never mind. They're discussing.
That's not him.
And that's what's funny is he is in that movie Identity, which to me is one of the most underrated like psychological thrillers that has come out in the last 20 years. I think that movie's phenomenal. It's got like an amazing cast.
Yeah,
but he was just so very talented. It's so unfortunate that he had to die suddenly. He was in the midst of filming also something called what was it? April 29th, 1993. It was a date. It was the date of the Rodney King riots after when all this stuff popped off in L.A. in the 90s after the Rodney King verdict. Mm-hmm. And he was playing from what I read about it was a shopkeeper protecting his son amongst all the chaos that was happening in Los Angeles that day.
Oh, jeez.
And it's like I mean, like Cor was saying, he always he's remembered as playing like these crooked cops or gangsters, but there were roles like this out there where he was able to really spread his wings and show you that he was a very, very good actor. But I mean, and you talk about his comedic chops. Look, there is something really funny about that scene in Hannibal, where they're sitting at the table and Hannibal's doing his thing and he's got control over Ray Liotta. And I don't want to go into the scene too much because you really got to see it for yourself because that scene is iconic. But But it's like that scene right there. It's like when he says what he says, you kind of laugh at it because it's funny. But at the same time, it's disturbing. It's a disturbing funny. It's like you laugh awkwardly because you're like, you have no idea how to react to that damn scene. It's like
I remember
is a big part of that.
I remember watching the new Hannibal. That, well, I guess you could say new Hannibal had Mads Mikkelsen. How do you say his name?
Yeah, that's good shit right
and
there.
they had a reminiscent scene of that, and this guy, like I couldn't.
Therapist, right, with her leg on the table.
No, it was some guy. I don't even know if the guy had a main role or anything, but he's like sitting there and he's like talking to the main therapist, and then he like looks down at the guy and he's like, "Your lip is falling off. Clean that up." And he like takes a bit and he eats it and he goes, "I'm full of myself," and just breaks out laughing. And I'm like, "What am I watching right now?" And my mom's like, "Oh, they're making fun of a scene from an older one." I'm like, "Oh, where he's got the okay." I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
A lot.
A lot going on, but
I liked that show.
I did too. And they're talking about doing a third season, by the way. I've been following it every 6 months or so. I read up about it, that they somehow survived the fall off of that cliff, you know? So there's talks.
Whoa, spoiler. I need to get
it's been so long ago.
I know. I need to get a spoiler alert graphic to put up here at moments like this.
I only watched it for the Wendigo, to be honest. Like when they started introducing the psychological Wendigo shit, I'm like, now we're getting somewhere.
It's cool that Ray Liotta kind of he was in these, you know, gangster movies, but he's also forever an unforgettable character in the Hannibal series. And, you know, it seems like no matter what genre you're into, there's an iconic movie that he was in.
Yeah.
You'll never forget.
Or what media platform, like I said, movies or video games, like myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, definitely.
It'll be curious to see what the new projects that come out, you know, after he's passed away, what they're about, what they're like. So
the only one that I read on was the one that he was currently filming. This one that he was filming in the Dominican Republic, I don't really know much about it. But, God, could you imagine being the producer of that movie, having to call your insurance company and saying, hey, so...
Yeah, right.
This is one of the reasons why movie productions carry insurance, is for stuff like this.
I feel for his family trying to get his body back from a foreign country and dealing with exporting and importing. My family had to deal with that years ago, dealing with government, permits to move a body. It's a lot of work, so I feel for them there, but yeah.
But, it's very, very unfortunate. As a matter of fact, you talked about his personal life and not knowing a lot about it. His ex-wife was actually the ex-wife of Mark Grace, who was a baseball player, ironically enough, for the Cubs for a long time in the 80s and early 90s. But he was actually engaged to be married again to a girl whose name I don't remember. I remember it being a very Italian name. But, yeah, he was engaged and married again. He does have one daughter also as well, who I believe is in her late 20s, right around 30. But... very, very unfortunate news to break right around the middle of the day today. So go down in the comments below and let us know what you guys think of Ray Liotta. What are some of your memories of his what do you think his most famous role was? What are the memories that you have of him? Did you get a chance to meet him? Because I would love to have sat and just talked to this guy. Like I said, I've heard so many stories about him being so nice. I'd love to pick his brain about what it was like to work on on Goodfellas with that collection of actors.
Hannibal sure did.
Yeah, or to work with Anthony Hopkins. I mean, he's worked alongside a lot of really great actors in the last 50 years. So that would have been an interesting discussion to have. But go down in the comments below and let us know what some of your guys' memories are of the now late and great Ray Liotta. Lady Cora, what is the next story we're going to get into tonight?
Well, we're going to take a turn into Marvel country. Thor, Love, and Thunder dropped another big trailer this week, and Marvel finally gave us our first look at Gorr the God Butcher. That's a name. Played by Christian Bale. While not a comic book accurate look, fans have gushed over the look of the villain in the film. The fourth film in the Thor standalone franchise hits theater July 8th. Brooding Gamer, a.k.a. Alan Grant, what did you think of the latest trailer?
Well, I think the new Harry Potter looks great. Voldemort finally got his nose back, so... that's really all people are talking about on the internet, is how he looks like Voldemort.
He looks like a weeping angel from Doctor Who.
He does.
Like Marilyn Manson.
Yeah. Well, when I watched the trailer 4 or 5 times just because I liked it. Totally not for Natalie Portman, you know. And Before I ended up watching one of those YouTube channels where they go into like every Easter egg bit scene by scene. And when they mentioned it was Christian Bale, I had to go back and watch it like a sixth time. I'm like, that's not Christian Bale. Damn, that is Christian Bale. What the hell?
Did they get him for the voice?
No, it's him.
Why they cast him if he's in a mask?
Yeah, it's makeup and everything. It's not.
That seems like extensive makeup. I was gonna say, dude gets into his roles, and he really.
Yeah, he lost how much weight for
the machine.
Oh God!
He lost. He almost emancipated himself for that role. Like, doctors
he was.
About him.
And then he
was.
Yeah, I remember he did that.
Only eating like an orange and drinking like 2 glasses of water a day for that role. That's
and
all
like
he was
he did that.
He was smoking a lot of cigarettes. He did that, and then bulked up to 220 for Batman right after that.
They even said it was like, dude, you can't do that. But yeah, he gets into his roles. I have to say though, I'm really, really excited. When I saw the first trailer, I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna be cool. Guardians of the Galaxy in it though. Mm-hmm. And then we watched it, and my fiance even was like, whoa, what's with Natalie Portman? I'm like, okay, so I have to explain this again to her. But I was like, now that we actually get to see more interaction with the two of them and the whole I laugh. I could not help but laugh when she's like, when's the last time we've spoke? Like, it was like 4 years ago, and he's like 8 years, so many days and so many seconds ago. But who's counting?
Who's counting?
And I actually thought about that because I was listening to that a little bit. And I'm like, wait a minute. Shit, Jane got blipped. So it has been 4 years for her. It has been 8 years for Thor since the last time he has seen her or spoken to her. But I don't know. I fell in love with the trailer, seeing more. Oh my God, who's playing Zeus? I'm drawing a blank here. Russell Crowe. Seeing Russell Crowe again since the last time I saw Russell Crowe, he was in that movie where he was a psychopath in a truck chasing somebody down. Unhinged, movie. Yes. It is an amazing movie. But yeah, just seeing like going through that whole thing and seeing all these actors, I'm like, wait, hold on. That's okay. We've got all these new. Sorry, I'm being flipped off the window, so it's very distracting. Love you too. Love. It's I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I wasn't at first because Thor is not my favorite of the Avengers, but seeing everybody kind of making a comeback, including my favorite character, whose name is escaping me. So clearly he's one of my favorite characters. But the bug, the little bug, who is like eating a slice of pizza in, I think it was Endgame. Was it Endgame? Yeah, it was no, Infinity. Whichever one was the last one. Where Iron Man snapped. But
Endgame was the last one.
Meek, I think his name is Meek, the little bug who always had like the 2 sides and stuff, and he was always dancing with his little daggers, and him in a little suit in the background made me very happy because I like to look in the background of all those all the previews and stuff. So that way, because that's where they hide everything. They don't put everything right up in front. It's always like in the background or hovering right above the actor's shoulder who's speaking. But yeah,
I for one love the look. I think it's phenomenal. Look, I know some people have kind of like commented online saying if they wanted something that was more comic book accurate. The problem with comic book accurate is that you can't see Christian Bale's face, and one of the reasons you cast a guy like Christian Bale is because you want his face on camera. So you could have done a lot of heavy CGI stuff and made him unrecognizable, more comic book accurate, but I think that this look works for what they're trying to accomplish. And to top it all off, the comic book character is another character who's kind of ripped, a little strong. He obviously picks up a lot of heavy things and puts them back down repeatedly. You know what I mean? I get tired of seeing a bunch of muscle-bound dickheads calling themselves gods just fight all the time. It's interesting to me to see a guy who's got kind of an average build, which like he's probably in fairly good shape. You can't really tell from the picture that I showed, but it looks like he's in okay shape at least. Go up against a guy like Chris Hemsworth, who looks like he could bench press a bulldozer, and throw hands with this guy and have a legitimate fight. So I kind of like the idea of the visual of this guy who is so skilled at killing gods, and he doesn't even need to be strong. You know what I mean?
I mean, you saw the size of the animal he killed, or whatever that thing is called. It has a name, and it's apparently that scene of them standing there looking at the. I can't remember its name. I'd never heard of it until this. It is an exact design or an exact copy of the comic when Thor is going around seeing the damage that he has done. Gorr has done. He finds this. I think it was literally just called Behemoth. But he finds the creature dead, and that is exact shot minus Korg being in there for this one. But it's an exact shot, scene for scene, picture for, and they did an amazing job. But yeah, it is good to see a character that's not like, Hulk in armor obliterating everything, and you just get this, like, I'm going to call him Volda-Death because he looks like Voldemort and Death had a baby. So Volda-Death, hopefully he does the Batman voice. I'd love to hear him come up and do it.
You know what they say. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
Oh, shut up. You're right.
That was coming. You knew it was coming from me. I've seen that meme so many fucking times today. Many times.
I've seen it in several forms already in the last few days. Yeah.
Frank makes a good point, though, because, I mean, like the redesign that they do for a lot of characters these days is really good, because, I mean, it does get old to see someone with 8-pack abs running at you every single time. Every villain has to be big, scary, and bad. Let's look at multiple other movies where most of our really good villains are usually your very tiny, off to the side. It's super weird if this comes to mind, but I think of, what's his name? Wormtongue or something from... Wormtail from The Lord of the Rings. Like, he's just a creepy little tiny guy who just stands in the corner, and he's not some big scary Viking looking man. He's, those are usually the ones.
You mean Harry Potter?
No, sorry, not.
So then I was like, wait, you just triggered the shit out of me.
Wormtail. No, I'm talking the guy in The Lord of the Rings. He was when they go to the Three Kings, or not Three Kings. Which movie was it? They're all blending together when I haven't seen them in a while.
I haven't seen him in a while either.
He's in it for a little bit, but he's kind of the guy who when the king is under a curse, and he's all, like you have.
Oh, you're talking about Grima Wormtongue.
Wormtongue. Yeah, I was right. Wormtongue. Did I say Wormtongue the first time?
No, you did, but I thought you meant like Wormtail from Harry Potter, which again is still not an intimidating looking person.
No, but yeah, like you get a guy like that who's we're all the same link. It's there.
Yeah, we got there.
We took a couple detours, but we got. But it's just like you can really make someone intimidating and really evil without having to make them 10 feet tall and be able to crush a building with the flick of their pinky. It's just.
Is there a velociraptor in the bushes behind you?
Someone's revved up their motorcycle. I'm just like, hello, clever girl. I've got this bottle.
The raptor's going to poke his head out and be like, Alan.
We'll get there.
Yeah, you also do bring up the fact that we do get a lot of interaction between Thor and Jane in this movie, and the assumption is, from what I got, that she has been the mighty Thor and has had Mjolnir for a while. Because she talks about how, like, this isn't my first evil guy and stuff like that. And Thor's kind of looking like, how the hell long have you been rolling around here doing superhero shit? Because this is my game. Your game was to look at the stars and make assumptions about what's going on around them. My job is to fly around in them and fight Thanos and people like that. So what are you over here doing playing my game?
I thought she had said, it's my first bad guy. And then when I kept watching, I'm like, oh, no, this isn't her first bad guy. So who have you kicked ass? Who have you beaten?
It also has come out, I don't remember them mentioning it in this trailer, but it's pretty much been confirmed by a lot of different outlets, that they are going with the storyline that she has cancer, and that there is some, I don't know if it's a causality, but there is an effect on her that when she uses the power of Thor, that her cancer actually gets worse, or it somehow affects it or something like that. It's even alluded to the idea that she's kind of like the Hulk, and that she can kind of bounce in and out of being Jane and then being the mighty Thor. I don't really know if that's gonna make much sense, but yeah, they actually are going with the she has cancer storyline.
Damn.
But they haven't explained how
Oh.
she ends up getting the power of Thor and why she's able to wield Mjolnir and why Mjolnir was put together back, how it was put back together in the first place.
Yeah, that's
So
my
there's still a lot of
question.
questions to answer. You know what I mean?
Watcher did it. The Watcher did it.
Maybe.
No, it was Mephisto.
It was Mephisto.
Mephisto, damn it.
Are we leading up to something with him? Because I swear I've been seeing
I
more
hope
memes
so.
with Mephisto lately. In my
No.
everything I see has got Mephisto on it, and I'm like,
There is
Are
this
we
weird hard-on that all MCU fans have with Mephisto being a bad guy. And we talked about this for basically every fucking episode of WandaVision. It was like, everybody's like, it's Mephisto, it's Mephisto, it's Mephisto. There was video upon video of like, this tree in the background is really Mephisto watching over everything as it happens. And as we got farther and farther into that show, it was just like, guys, if they haven't introduced Mephisto by now, they're not going to. Because you can't introduce the main bad guy in the very last episode of the show. That doesn't make any sense at all to me.
they'll drop him in the least. What I guarantee it'll be like when we get our next big time villain, he'll show up and be like, "I'm here." The whole theater will erupt, and then he'll just die like that.
Probably.
Like whatever the main
That
villain
actually
is. and
sounds
people
like
will be
exactly the kind of thing that Kevin Feige would do. It just pisses off. That would that would be the ultimate Kevin Feige troll. At that point, I would just stand up and be like, "Slow clap. Good job, Kevin Feige. Good job."
You get everybody in the theater pissed at you, but it's like, look, guys, it didn't need to happen.
Look, I wouldn't be pissed. I would laugh at all the other people that be pissed off because those are the ones that have been screaming since episode 1 of WandaVision that Mephisto was out there somewhere, and they haven't alluded to him at all.
He's not.
Maybe
out
some
there.
characters that are kind of adjacent to him, but not to him at all.
Now, here's where I think would be really fucking hilarious is if it turns out that they've been wanting to put Mephisto in a lot, but because people keep going, that bush is clearly him, they're like, you know what, let's just keep reeling him back a little further just to piss you people off.
Oh, you know,
Because we
it's
know
like,
Marvel hasn't done that ever.
Yeah, Jar Jar's a Sith Lord. Reel it back.
Never mind.
You know, so other
What you
news
talking about?
Some other news that came out today on the Marvel front, and I didn't make this one of the stories because I didn't have a chance to look into it, is remember we had been talking about how John Watts had left the Fantastic Four movie to go do something else.
Yes.
We found out that was a Star Wars production,
Uh-huh.
and now that has come out. He is doing, what is the name of it? I forget.
The name of the planet.
He's
I
not
think I know what
Andor?
you're talking about.
Yeah. No, not Andor. Andor's a totally separate thing. They actually dropped a trailer for that today, too, and I haven't had a chance to watch it. But, no, he's actually doing a Spider-Man, a Star Wars show for Disney Plus, and he just cast Jude Law to be in it.
Wait, was it the one
Really?
about?
Yes.
Was it the one about the 1,000 years before the first movie or something like that?
I don't remember right off the top of my
'Cause
head. Give me one
there's-
minute.
There's something that's. I mean, I've seen a lot of pictures of Darth Revan, which I'm like, please, for the love of God, put him in something. Do some Knights of the Old Republic. Do something like that. I thought I saw something that was coming up that was supposed to be set like way before like even episode 1. So
I actually
That's
just
it.
had a subscriber to my channel named Darth Revan.
ah.
I like that. I
Small
like
world.
Well, that would also
So what
then
you're saying
finally,
is,
that would also then finally give us someone else that actually does canonically have a purple lightsaber, which I'm like, yeah, there's not only just one.
Skeleton
guy.
Crew is the name of the show.
Huh. That
Yes,
sounds
details
good.
on John Watts' Star Wars Skeleton Crew series with Jude Law set to star. Lucasfilm officially
Can we
announced it
just-
today with John Watts. The project is titled Star Wars Skeleton Crew, and Jude Law is set to star. Will take place in the post-Return of the Jedi era alongside The Mandalorian.
Oh.
It's been described as a galactic version of a classic Amblin coming-of-age adventure films of the 80s. Some promo artwork was shared today. It looks, I don't know, it's promo artwork. You guys can go find it online.
again,
But
with
Well,
us
what the
shoving
hell-
the Mandalorian
what the hell
down
did I
people's
see?
throats.
Yeah, because now we're filling in that big fucking gap between, it's a bigger gap to fill in than say, but like I said, between episodes 3 and 4. I mean, they squeezed the whole show in between episodes 2 and 3 for the Clone Wars. I'm like, well, you have, like I said, you have the entirety, like I said, of Knights of the Old Republic. All that shit thousands of years before the first movie even took place. You got that to play with. But, yeah, like I said, we are kind of sitting pretty in this, I will say pretty, because it is pretty phenomenal, these shows. Right after Return of the Jedi. I'm like, yeah, fair, but like, it's
I'm gonna
like
binge watch all of them.
every show is just all right there. I'm like, spread it out a little bit is all I ask. I don't know.
yeah, but anyway, back to Marvel. It's I'm interested. Look, I don't even need another trailer for this thing. It comes out in like what, less than 2 months. Actually, we're about 6 weeks
Yeah.
away, roughly.
Right after 4th of July.
Yeah, so we're only about 6 weeks away. I mean, we've also got Top Gun
Obi-Wan.
coming out here in a minute. We've got Jurassic Park coming out here in 2 weeks.
Mhm.
We hope.
weeks.
I really hope they don't, for some reason, find an excuse to we're gonna postpone it because I really.
Shut up.
I don't think at this point. If they moved it at this point, it wouldn't be by more than a week or so.
First.
They did that with Morbius, though.
Yeah, if they did it at this point, they wouldn't do it by more than a week or so. But yeah, I'm totally into seeing this. I'm kind of glad to see that they've brought her back. I mean, I've always thought that her whole character arc was kind of incomplete. And like I said, I don't like love stories in superhero movies anyway. I think they kind of slow things down. Sometimes they work, like Pepper and Tony worked because I think it wasn't like a traditional kind of she wasn't a damsel in distress. She's as smart as Tony is, she's really the brains of their relationship if you think about it. So
Yeah.
that relationship kind of worked out, but
Well, she started
You know,
making
I'm
vagina scented candles.
yeah, that burned down a house.
Tony,
apparently.
the next brand.
But yeah, that whole storyline was kind of incomplete. So I'm glad that Marvel's doing some stuff right now to kind of let some things go full circle. You've got Jane coming back, and we don't yet know how it's going to end for her in this movie. I mean, there's a good possibility, since she has cancer and all, that she may die or get killed in battle or something like that. They're coming back to the whole Abomination thing in She-Hulk, and that's something that people have been screaming to the clouds for since the end of The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton. It's like, when are we going to see this? And then, of course, they have the leader out there as well from that movie, but I don't know if we're going to see him at all. But
It's not going to be the same without the general.
And from Shang-Chi, when you're just like, yeah, he's just sitting there with Wong.
So
Having a
Oh,
tussle
I
with
hated
Wong.
that. I hated that.
hey, maybe we'll hopefully get some answers here whenever She-Hulk drops in a few weeks or a few months, wherever that comes out. I don't even know when. But yeah, they're kind of bringing some things full circle as they kind of rebuild the MCU to whatever is coming next. Now that we're done with the Infinity Saga. But anyway, it's all about what you guys think. So go down in the comments below and let us know. Did you guys like the Thor: Love and Thunder's new trailer? And what do you think of Christian Bale's look as Gorr the God Butcher? I actually think it's pretty dope. I'm way excited to see the movie, and I am ready to bring it on.
And he's a method actor. He's going to be right in it.
Oh, he's way method.
I love it.
Yeah, he's way method. But before we go any further, I do want to remind you folks, we do have a Patreon. And for just $5 a month, you get a chance to win $25 in free movie tickets that we give away every month. We're going to be giving that away here in just a moment. Now, the reason I do this Patreon like this is not because I want to help you guys spend more money on movies. I just want to get you guys back out to the movie theaters seeing movies, because movies are, I think, officially anyway, they're all the way back. You've got movies making $1 billion again. You've got full release schedules, full filming schedules. I think that Hollywood is back to giving us all the great stuff that we love in theaters. And I really want to try to promote you guys to go back out there and to help the people that were hit very, very hard during the pandemic over the course of the last couple of years. The people that work at the box office, the people that work at the concession stand, the managers of these places. Remember, theaters don't really make a lot of money from the box office. They make all their money what we spend on the concession stand and stuff like that. So us buying tickets, they only actually keep, I think it's like 30 cents for every dollar of every movie ticket, which is not really a lot if you think about how much money some of these places cost to run. So I just want to get everybody back out there enjoying the theater experience, enjoying movies the way they are meant to be seen on the big screen in all their glory, especially some of these special effects stuff like Jurassic Park, like Star Wars, the MCU. They should be experienced on the big screen. So by supporting us for just $5 a month on the Patreon, you'll get a chance to win $25 in free movie tickets to the theater of your choice to go see whatever you want. That's if you want to help support us. We would appreciate it if you do that. Also, don't forget, we do have a Discord. I still don't have a graphic for that because I've been slacking in getting that. But the Discord link is in the description below. You can go down there and talk movies 24/7, whether we're on stream or not. Give us your thoughts on some of the stuff that pops up. Give us ideas about some of the shows that you'd like us to review and talk about. You can do that there as well. And with that, it is time to, let me go find my giveaway screen, to give away some movie tickets. Tonight we're doing the Magic 8 Ball, kid. I want to try to shake things up a bit. There's a couple of different ways to do this, and I always usually end up doing the wheel spin, but it's so boring. That's what Drew does, the wheel spin and stuff like that. I want to do something different tonight. So we're going Magic 8 Ball. And whose name is going to be picked by the Magic 8 Ball tonight? Casey is wrong!
Ah, rigged. I demand a revote.
You demand a revote.
Objection. Hearsay.
Objection.
Yeah. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Ah, fuck you. Who put you
Damn
in there?
Somebody go get me Johnny Depp's lawyer so we can get a recount.
Oh
Somebody
boy.
just get me Johnny Depp's lawyer, period.
Yeah, really.
Because reasons.
Just have her walk in the room.
She can
That's all
yell
I need. But
She can yell
congratulations
at
to
me
Casey
also.
as Raw. I will send that out. Since he's already won it prior, I've already got all of his information, so I can send that out later tonight, as well as sending one to Jeremy, which I have to do. But I need Jeremy's email address for that, which I've texted him a couple of times about. He's not responded.
You have texted me once.
I have texted you,
And-
yes, multiple times, actually.
Or
Alright.
mommy and daddy are fighting
Alright,
again.
Hold on. Hearsay.
I know.
Hearsay.
It's okay.
I'll find it. Don't make me
They're
embarrass you.
hetero life mates. They haven't broken up yet. They're not going to break up over an email.
Objection.
Well, if we can get a divorce and he writes an op-ed about me lying about some bullshit, we're gonna have a problem.
Objection.
You know what?
Speculation.
Damn it!
Congratulations
dropping
to
that
you,
crap
my
around
friend
work.
Casey is Raw. Don't forget, you can also find Casey, the link to Casey's channel. He does a lot of gaming stuff. He's a game collector. He likes to talk about the history of games. You can find a link to his channel down
Wrestling
below,
stuff, too.
alongside the Brooding Gamer, who's on with us tonight, and with the Rose Gaming. Go check out them. The Rose does a lot of great stuff trying to raise money for charities as well. So definitely go support those guys if you are into the gaming. Those are the ones you want to go talk to. And again, congratulations to my good friend Casey is Raw. Now, Lady Cora, what is the next story we're going to be talking about tonight?
Well, sticking with another Marvel property that I know nothing about, The Man Without Fear is back as a series. After several teases of characters from Netflix's Daredevil show in its own content, Marvel Studios is finally moving forward with the Daredevil series for Disney+. Matt Corman and Chris Ord have been tapped to write and exec produce a series that will be notable for being the first of the Netflix Marvel shows to get a new but continued series. Daredevil proved to be one of the more popular outings from the streamer, lasting 3 seasons and starring Charlie Cox and starred Charlie Cox, won over fans with his portrayal of blind avenging attorney Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil. Fans were enthralled when the actor reprised the character for a cameo in last year's Spider-Man No Way Home, teasing a potential return. Meanwhile, Daredevil's villain, the Kingpin, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, was
D'Onofrio.
revealed to be...
Right.
Huh?
D'Onofrio.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Okay, I'm sorry. Was revealed to be the King Nemesis in Hawkeye, Marvel's hit series that also unfolded late last year. Jeremy, are you excited that Daredevil is coming back?
I know absolutely jack shit about Daredevil, so no. Next.
It's gonna be good. I'm excited. It's gonna be good.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I wasn't excited, and I didn't get a little giddy when I saw him in No Way Home. I was like, oh shit.
He's pretty great at that character, I'm going to say that.
I mean, he's a pretty good lawyer, like you said. Or whatever you said.
I
yeah.
like him better than I don't get me
Affleck.
wrong. I absolutely love Ben Affleck, but I did not like that movie.
I feel
Do you
like
like Ben Affleck as Batman?
I ate my own words. I do now, yes. I was initially pissed off because of what he just said. Yes, I was like, Daredevil. That was awkward, wasn't it? I wish I'd been blind. I had to see that damn movie. I don't know. It's still, I think that weird early 2000s was, I don't want to say hit or miss, because I'm like, well, we had Spider-Man, which was amazing. Haha. See what I did there? Kind of unintentionally.
Pretty ultimate reference there, I'd say.
Anyway. Yeah, but some things weren't incredible, shall I say. I won't talk about that movie. Yeah, we're going there. Like some things, or even Fantastic Four, it's like, it wasn't great. I don't know what it is about early 2000s. Just movies in general are kind of...
Early Marvel movies were just kind of weird. I mean, you get
Howard the Duck.
Daredevil, Elektra, Ghost Rider. As much as I love Ghost Rider, I still look at that now and be like, the fuck were we
problem
thinking?
was they were taking comic books and characters and storylines to have to be made in a different way and plugging them into traditional Hollywood movies, and it just didn't fit right. They had to change how they made the movies, and they didn't learn that, I think, until after they made some of these beginning ones. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but you had to kind of reinvent the wheel with comic book movies.
I think that's what I was getting at. You said it better than I did. I was like, I don't really know how to describe him. Like, it's you're trying to be the comic book, but then you're trying to make a movie and it clashes. But
I just want a Punisher.
What?
I just want the Punisher.
Yeah, I do too.
I want John Bernthal back.
Me too.
I feel like they will bring that series back.
That one was okay. I mean, the old one wasn't bad. But I mean, shit.
No, it wasn't. But God, dude, John would go in there. All I see is Shane. All I see is Shane.
I see Shane
but
from
like
Walking Dead.
so many times he didn't like get aggressive about anything and actually show emotion. It was just this like grumpy, angry face as he's taking a sledgehammer to some guy's head. Like, and I'm like, yep, this is Punisher. This is what I like. And I don't think they could have, like with Daredevil, I don't think they could have picked a better actor to play him. He's because Daredevil in the comics has always, I mean, most comic characters, they kind of design them to look geeky. Like, you know, everybody's a Peter Parker until they put their suit on and then they're literally the same fucking person. But, oh my God, you know. But with him being Daredevil, like, it's just like you would not look at him at all and be like, yep, that's Daredevil. But he did a damn good job. And I'm kind of like with Jeremy on this one. He's not at all one of my favorites. Whenever it's like you're going down the list or you're seeing all the pictures of Marvel characters on a wall, you're like, yep, then there's Daredevil. Anyway, and you just kind of skip over them.
It's kind of every day, or is it something about him being blind, or is just not the believability not being there?
No, I just never really got into it. I don't know. I just never.
Gotcha.
I don't know. It's not like it doesn't do it for me. I mean, I just never got into that whole thing. I know, but I'm saying we got there in the end. It's been done. A lot of these things have been, I guess, redone and done better. So,
well, you know, opportunities to tell good stories can change and evolve over time. Yeah. So it's like you look at it and it's like, okay, you can understand why they wanted to try Ben Affleck as Daredevil. I mean, because superhero movies were definitely growing at the time. You had at that point, I mean, the two greatest superhero movies that had ever been made were the first couple of Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire and the first couple of X-Men movies, and those were the best and those were the best superhero movies that had ever been made up to that point. Now, this is prior to the creation of the MCU, but I mean, better than, you know, the Christopher Reeve Supermans, which for 20 or 30 years, those were really kind of the only superhero movies that had ever been made up until, like, you know, Michael Keaton stuff in the late 80s. But it's like so, I mean, you're going to take a chance. You're going to put a at the time, young and big star like Ben Affleck as a superhero. But you don't really... The storytelling for these kinds of stories had not yet evolved to what it needed to be. And then eventually along comes people like Kevin Feige, along comes Joss Whedon, along comes the Russo brothers, and all these people who craft what now we have as the MCU, these interchanging, long, drawn-out stories that are great individually, but also tell this big story, this big universe. So why not try to pull that guy back in now? Because he's an interesting character. I mean, it's one thing to have, like, a superhero that has a disability, but it's like, you look at this guy and you're like, he's blind. It's like Superman can see where to throw a punch, Batman can see where to throw a batarang, Tony Stark can see where to fire his repulsor. This guy can't see. It's like, how the hell do you pull that? How the hell do you be a superhero and fight bad guys when you don't have a simple thing like sight? So, and that's one of the things that makes him interesting. But more so than that is in the Netflix series, they managed to ground this character perfectly, I thought. It's like, because even in the Ben Affleck stuff, he's a little too large. He's not really ground... Because one of the things they wanted to do with the Netflix stuff is they wanted to do what they referred to at the time as the ground level Avengers. Kind of like what they were sort of trying to do with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but they still wanted Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to be a little over the top. These guys were they were street level. I mean, they were kind of rough and tough, you know, grizzled. They were never going to fight Thanos, but they were going to handle some otherwise big threats that were of the human variety. And that made perfect sense. I myself was worried. I was worried that they were really just going to let Daredevil die on the vine. That it was going to be... Because we know that, and we've talked about it before, Kevin Feige is not particularly fond of the television stuff that has been done in the Marvel Universe. And in a lot of ways, I understand why, because a lot of it is kind of missed. But there are other ones like Daredevil and like Punisher. It's like, hey, these are good. These are really awesome stories. And look, they obviously exist in the MCU. There's been a lot of people say, well, they never really directly mention anything that has happened in the movies. The movies never directly address them? Do these things really exist? Well, yeah, because if you watched 5 minutes of dialogue from any of these Netflix things, they don't specifically say the Avengers, but there's like one episode of Jessica Jones. She says that why don't you go yell at the big green guy or the flag waver? We obviously know who she's talking about. It's like we know. Yeah. I mean, we're Marvel fans at that point. All these characters have been well established. We all know, and even in Daredevil. There's the black guy, the reporter in the first season who ends up getting killed. He actually has the frames on his wall of the pages of newspaper talking about the attack at Battle of New York and things like that. So with a big picture of one of those big serpenty things that flies through the air in the Avengers movie. So obviously these things exist in the same universe. You can find ways creatively to bring these things together if you wanted to. And use them. I look, the Netflix stuff, one of the things I really liked about it is it was kind of DC-like, if this is not too odd to say. They were a lot darker. They were a lot more adult. Like Jessica Jones, there's a reason why Jessica Jones, like I'm 100% positive they're not going to mess with Jessica Jones anymore. There's a couple episodes of that are almost softcore porn. It was. I mean, there's like when you first meet Luke Cage is in Jessica Jones before he got his own show, they launched his show, and there's like one scene where they meet and they decide to go back to her place and have sex, and they have sex to the point where they break her bed. And I don't just mean like the headboard broke. I mean it like flattens out and they flatten the damn thing because my man was putting his thing down. You know what I mean? But it's like some of those things aren't going to make it on Disney Plus, and I get it. But it's like you can do Daredevil. You can probably still do Punisher because while Punisher was really, I don't want to say R-rated, it was very, very deep because of the way it dealt with PTSD from soldiers coming back from war and things like that. You could still work those things in. Now, okay, you don't want to mess with Iron Fist. I get it. A lot of people didn't like that series. I thought it was okay. A lot of people didn't like it. You don't want to mess with Jessica Jones. I get it. Luke Cage, there's some opportunity there maybe, but I really don't think they're going to go back to Luke Cage because the guy that played Luke Cage has already been in like 2 or 3 other television shows at this point. He's moved on. But Daredevil, why not bring him back in? And I was really, really afraid that they were going to let this character die on the vine. I really thought, as we were watching Spider-Man No Way Home, I really thought that his appearance in their kitchen talking about his legal stuff and catching the brick, I really thought that was just some fan service to shut people up. That Kevin Feige was like, you know what? I gave you one more taste of Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock. We're going to move on from this from now on. And that was going to be all that we heard of it. And I was like, and I was worried. I was like, come on, dude. Why do you put him in there and tease us? You know we want this. You know that you guys can kick ass, write some awesome shit for this guy, whether it's in movie form or episodic form on Disney Plus. You know you can do this. Just do it. This is the one thing from that you can carry over and have great success with. And I really thought that he was just going to give us that little spoonful and be like, okay, guys, we're done with Daredevil. Now we're moving on. And I'm glad.
It's not like they did that with someone like Venom.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, really. Well, you can blame that on Sony. Because technically speaking, it's a Sony production, not an MCU production, not a Marvel production.
I'm still mad.
But yeah, I'm still mad about that too. But yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, though. There is precedence in this universe, even though it's technically a Sony film, of them kind of like doing a little push-pull. They give us the thing, they pull it back, they're like, nope, psych, Indian giver. So I was really worried that was going to be the case, but I'm glad now. And also, I was really, for those of you who watched Hawkeye, I'm really curious as to how that's going to work out because they did, as Cora said in the lead-in, they did have Vincent D'Onofrio's character, the Kingpin, in there, who was the main antagonist to Charlie Cox's Daredevil character. So now, of course, the way that ends, we don't know if he lives or not. It's implied that he is killed, but we don't see it actually happen. So there's an out for them to bring him back. And everybody loves Vincent D'Onofrio. Everybody loves Vincent D'Onofrio. Period. I think he's a great actor, but everybody loved him in that role. So there's going to be opportunity to bring him back as well. So like I said, I'm really glad they didn't just give us that little bit of fan service and then say, okay, we're moving on to whatever's next. We don't really want to mess with this anymore. We were just giving you guys a little taste to shut you up. I'm glad they're going to approach this and do something real with it. The question is where do you go from here? I mean, honestly, the one thing that they haven't said yet is they have not said if this is a continuation of the Netflix stuff or if it's a straight up reboot and Charlie Cox is coming back and playing just a different version of Matt Murdock. So we really
a different time in his life, kind of thing.
No, a totally different version. Like there's this thing going around out there that they're saying that the Netflix Daredevil doesn't exist, and that
Oh.
Charlie Cox isn't playing that version that we've seen in 4 seasons of Netflix, but he's playing just a different version of the character altogether, and that stuff doesn't exist in the MCU.
Oh, you mean like their little weird MacGuffin right now of the multiverse? Frank's favorite.
I don't
crap.
even think they're going to do that. I mean, there's a whisper out there that they're not even
What they're
doing like a
about to do with
variant thing.
X-Men.
I don't. Well,
Okay.
we don't yet know what they're doing with X-Men, but
True.
You know what I mean, though? They're just going to ignore the first 3 movies.
Eh.
well, I mean,
we
yeah,
all do.
Yeah, but I mean, there's talk that all that stuff is just not affiliated. They're just starting all over again with this character, but Charlie Cox is coming back to play him again. I think that'd be kind of a waste. Because I have a feeling, because one of the things that Disney does is they're a little light and fluffy and comedic, a little way more so than DC. And one of the things that I like about DC more than Marvel is they embrace that darkness, that the darkness of their. Even though they're heroes, there are dark people who kill people, and they struggle with that sometimes. And that's one of the nice things about this version of Daredevil that we got on Netflix is that he is conflicted. He has these issues that he's trying to work through, and if Disney just tries to fluff him up, he's just going to be another Tony Stark out there making quips and slapping people around, and then he goes off and waits until the next Avengers level threat shows up to come in and do it all over again. I think it's going to make him a little too one-dimensional.
I wanted to say something as you guys were talking. Somebody who never read comic books, and I'm a big fan of the comic book movies. Now I'm into Marvel. I really like those older X-Men movies, and I really liked Daredevil and Elektra when it first came out because I didn't have any other reference point, right? So as they've evolved and how they've, started changing the movie making process for these epic storylines with very complex histories and ongoing, whatever, I now respect the difference and see what you guys mean, but I think it took that, beginning chapter of comic book movies to bring in people like myself who weren't into comic books in any way, had no understanding of them, to learn to love them. And in that respect, it's amazing that they broke through, the glass ceiling of public interest and create a whole new generation of people who had no idea how amazing this content was. I used to laugh at Marvel fans. And then I started doing the show with you guys, and I watched WandaVision, and now I'm one of you. And I'm so glad that I am. And it's just amazing how movies can change your life in ways of you can't imagine. And so I have respect for those older movies and how they were made. Looking back, they're kind of lame, but I'm telling you, if it wasn't for those, I wouldn't be here talking about these now. So, yeah.
That's what entertainment does for you.
Yeah.
Oh.
And honestly, yeah, and one of the things that Marvel's been doing is they've been trying to attach these stories to women. It's like they've tried to put in some not female elements, but they tried to put in emotional elements that draw women into the story as well.
Let's not forget the all-female badass.
Make it stupid though, like.
Oh yeah,
They sometimes do, yeah.
Star Wars a little bit in episode, 4, 5, and 6. It's like, Anakin, you're breaking my heart. All that stupid shit. It's like, I'd rather see the Emperor talking to him. I don't give a shit that.
Hey, that's Lady Thor you're talking about. You watch your mouth.
You hit a certain point where it's like, okay, enough pandering to the romantics. They can go watch The Notebook. We're here to watch content, but get what you're saying. They're trying to bring more people in.
But yeah, I'm totally stoked that they're bringing it back. I can't imagine they're going to bring back any of the other Netflix stuff. I mean, like I said, Jessica Jones was way too R-rated. You would have to dumb that down and change that character a lot. And I really don't think that's going to be possible. I still haven't, to this day, I've not watched the last season of Jessica Jones. It's like they announced it was getting canceled before they even dropped it on Netflix, and automatically my interest just hit the floor. I was like, well, why am I watching it then?
Right.
What is her power?
She's basically just super strength. She doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, she doesn't have yeah, she's like super strong. She kind of has the same power as Luke Cage. Only they got it.
So
I don't remember how she got her power, but I know Luke Cage was experimented on by somebody, so he's got like super tough skin or something like that. I don't remember. But
yeah, that tells you how much I know about Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and
I thought Jessica Jones was the name of a news anchor.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I think maybe her TV show didn't go over very well on Netflix is because she was not just a secondary character. She was like level 3 or 4 Marvel. It's like not a lot of people were really into Jessica Jones as a character.
I worry that that's going to be the fate of the Miss Marvel TV series, where it's just another story about a girl who has powers. Yeah, it'll be a Disney Plus series, but I don't think it's going to do well.
Well, one of the interests in that show is how she gets her powers, because in the comic books, it has to do with the Terrigen Mist, which is one of the things they dealt with really heavily in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But I don't know they're obviously going to change the way she gets her powers in the show. But the question is, how does she get her powers? They focus a lot in the first trailer on that bracelet thing, like that bracelet thing has some kind of special ability or something. So I'm sure it'll have something to do with that. But that's the big question: is how does she get her power? Because she's already supposed to be in the Marvels, the movie that is made, basically Captain Marvel Part 2 is going to be her, the other girl, Carol Danvers. And some other stuff going on in that movie. There's supposed to be like a collection apparently of super strong women, which I actually find kind of cool because I really did dig that what do they call it, the A Force, that
girl version of A-Team.
No. Do you remember in Endgame where they take the gauntlet from Peter during the final battle, and you have that whole pose of all the girls? A-Force, or something like that. There's like an all-girl Avengers thing from the comic books. It was kind of
meant
to be.
You need to get Wonder Woman over there for that.
That'd be cool, but it was kind of an allusion to like that. I think it was more fan service than anything else. But I really did like that visual of all the girls standing there, like looking down Thanos, like, "Come on, motherfucker, let's do this. You're about to get beat up by a bunch of girls." I actually really did dig that visual.
I loved it because when we saw that in theaters, it was like every guy in the theater was silent, but you heard all the women go, mm-hmm. like, and you got my mom over here. It's like, there you go. I'm like, shut up.
Loved it. I
loved it too, but it was just hilarious. It was like all the women were like, that's right. It was like,
that's because I was holding my breath because I'm like I said, Wanda, and then just on her own, and then Captain Marvel on her own, right? I'm like, they just toe-to-toed with Thanos like it was nothing. I'm like, one of them.
I will admit, I got goosebumps when he was like, I don't even know who you are. It's just like, you will. And like everything behind her. I'm like,
I was like, oh, there she goes. There she goes. Well, yeah.
You got it, dude.
Well, the fact that he had to.
We wonder why she thinks she's a god.
Oh, that's kind of because she is.
Her and Captain Marvel went one-on-one with Thanos in that movie, and they were whooping his ass. He needed help.
I said, he had to take that one stone out specifically and then punch her in the face because like she sat there and she's just like, really?
I'm not a huge fan of her. Like Captain Marvel, I don't really like the woman who plays her because I think I'm not a huge fan of her.
What?
She's a little bit too cocky, and you've gotten a lot of a lot of the other actors have even kind of like, you get like professional like body language interpreters, stuff like that, who have all said, and they're like, she's not liked at all. Every time she was in interviews with other actors, they're always like little things that they do, never anything positive. And she's always like, oh, well, I didn't need a stunt double, blah, blah, blah. And then there was like the guy who plays Don Cheadle was like, you had 3. Like, it was like stuff like that. But I had to admit, Thanos punching her and her just like, I'm like,
that was great.
Do it again. That was hot. Like, I think, honestly, if we were to get like an all-female Avengers kind of a film that came out, are they calling it A-Team for a reason? Just A-Force or whatever?
Because if you can find them,
something from the comic
give them a call. The A-Team.
It's something from the comic books. I think it may have been a short run in the comic books where it was just like, for some reason, like all the guy Avengers were busy or trapped or whatever, and then like all the girls had to get together and kick some ass. But I mean,
how it normally would actually happen.
There are a lot of people who are like, that's actually a really cool, fun thing in the comic books. That was really enjoyable. A lot of people liked it. So I mean, I don't know that they're ever going to do anything with it like in the movies, but I know a lot of people were like that. Just that visual of like all them standing there ready to whoop Thanos' ass was pretty cool.
Yeah, because then you wouldn't know what to do with Black Panther since Shuri.
Shuri, yeah.
Thank you, Shuri. She sells by the seashore. Since she's gonna supposedly be playing the new Iron Man. And also the new. Now there's talks of her being the new Black Panther. I'm like, you
No,
can't be both.
They've actually got Ironheart already cast.
Oh, do they? Okay, good.
Ironheart's going to be something that comes on Disney Plus. They've already got that cast. I don't know when they start filming, but I know they've got it cast.
As long as Pepper Potts ain't in it, I don't care. That woman creeps me out.
What?
Yeah, because you can try to sell one of candles.
Well, now Stark Industries doesn't make guns or weapons anymore. They make candles.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
We're gonna have a candle in every corner of the world.
I call this one Elva JJ. No.
No.
Pepper. What's in the box? Candles.
It's so much stupid.
I thought it was a joke.
We swear it's just candles. But
No.
obviously, we care about what you guys think. Go down in the comments and let us know. Are you guys stoked that Disney's bringing back Daredevil? Probably the only Netflix show that they're going to give a second life to, but I'm okay with it because that was probably the best one. I think Punisher was very, very close. I actually like Luke Cage a lot more than a lot of people did. The other two, meh, I can live without them. But go down in the comments below and let us know what you guys think about Daredevil returning to the MCU on Disney+. Lady Cora, what's the next topic we're going to be talking about tonight?
Well, something that puts a damper on a childhood beloved character. I had a nursery themed after Winnie the Pooh, by the way, way back in 1981. So this is a real fun one to read, but I'll do it. I'll do it.
Hey, Rachel, get ready. We're talking about Winnie the Pooh.
In a bad way.
Is she there with you?
No, she said she's cleaning right now. She's like, when that story drops, I'm gonna stop what I'm fucking doing. I'm gonna pay attention to this part.
Okay, here we go.
I was like, all right, go for it.
Hold on to your childhood hero pants. Most of us grew up with stories of Christopher Robin and his friend Winnie the Pooh romping around the 7-acre woods with Piglet and Eeyore and friends. But now that IP is public domain and interesting variations of the story are sure to be told. One already filmed is Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Stills from the new flick.
Was that too loud?
Man-sized versions of Pooh and Piglet menacing a bikini-clad woman in a hot tub. 3 words, Howard the Duck. Motivation for murder, ? Pooh Bear is hungry and not from honey. According to director Rhys Waterfield explained to Variety that Christopher Robin is pulled away from them and he's not given them food, which has made Pooh and Piglet's life quite difficult. Frank, what do you think of the horror adaptation of Winnie the Pooh?
This is awesome. Look,
I agree.
I've said it 100 times.
No.
I've said it 100 times. Anything can be remade in any way you want. If the remake sucks, you always have the original to go back to. If all you want is stories about Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh romping around in the 7-acre woods, searching for
100-acre woods,
doing things,
when do we downsize?
try to cheer up Eeyore, that's fine. Why not?
I'm saying,
if you want to, this is like no. This is like something you'd find like if I was on late night on YouTube one time and I found something that was like some fucker in his back. Like if me and Brady went into the backyard and we just put on some fucking GTA level masks of like that kind of looks like Pooh. That does not look like the pig mask from Saw. And we're like, we're gonna go slaughter people. Oh bother! What?
No, all I'm saying is I swear to God, if if they're calling him Pooh, I don't know. If he gets stabbed, shot, and he doesn't go ahead.
If you let them reenact that screenshot of you in the hot tub, I'm going to kick your ass.
All right,
I'm saying
Brady,
is if
you
Pooh,
and me, we're going to get those outfits. Rachel, you're going to be in a hot tub. We'll be sitting there like an axe, ready to go.
I call Piglet.
I will be Winnie the Pooh. I'm fine with that.
No, if Pooh or whatever they're going to call it does not get shot or stabbed and doesn't go like,
oh, bother.
I'm not.
No. They need to. No. He needs to lose his eyes so they can make that damn meme reel. They took my fucking eyes. Like they need to do that.
Look. This has potential. Okay, like I
No,
said,
it doesn't.
yes, it does. For one,
No, it doesn't.
you don't have to watch it if you don't want to see it. And if you don't want to watch it because you don't want to have your childhood ruined, I totally understand. But do you
I think this is the
Jeremy?
entire.
We need that paragraph, thank you.
But this is the entire internet against Frank right now. I'd love to hear what your argument is.
Tell you what.
I need to know: did Disney ever hold the IP to this toy?
Here's something
what I
interesting
wanna
about
know.
this. Here's something.
Yeah.
Disney pays a fuckload of money, and I mean a fuckload of money, to make sure that Mickey Mouse does not go, not open source, public domain. They spend a ridiculous amount of money. They did not spend that money on Winnie the Pooh.
Well,
So
Winnie the Pooh is not their mascot.
They had the rights. They could have and didn't. They let Winnie the Pooh go public domain. But there's a catch.
Disney.
But there's a catch. There's one character they still own the rights to that is not public domain. And who's the one character in the Winnie the Pooh stuff that is equal to or even more popular than Winnie the Pooh? Tigger. They still own the rights to Tigger. So,
Okay.
So what you're telling me is, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna see. Yeah, I'm gonna see Rabbit. I'm gonna see Eeyore. Am I gonna see Kanga and Roo in this bitch? Like
What Owl? Nobody talks about Owl. Come on.
Okay,
well, because Owl talks too much about himself. That's why.
Let me give you. Let me explain to you guys. Give you a brief rundown of how this public domain works. Public domain means that anybody can go make a movie about this particular intellectual property. For example, The Wizard of Oz is technically public domain. The four of us can get together and make a Wizard of Oz movie. We don't have to pay anybody's right. We don't have to pay anybody to do it. We can just go make a Wizard of Oz movie. However, certain aspects of the film that are film specific we cannot use, like the Ruby Slippers. The Ruby Slippers do not exist in the book. They were a plot point in the film with Judy Garland way back in the 1930s. So we would not be able to use the Ruby Slippers as a part of our story. It's the same thing. It's kind of, I'm guessing it's the same thing with this. It's like anybody can go make it, but you can make it fucked up and make it all crazy. So that's how public domain works.
Does that not fall under? Well, no, I'm thinking about that. Does that not? Does that clash with fair use? Because you can use anything as long as it's. No. I mean, if you want to. Well, no, that's like satire or
fair
anything.
Fair use still has certain things requirements that must be met. So it's like I can use someone else's footage of like a news story, but I can only use it for the purposes of commentary. I have to have like my camera in a box somewhere. There's certain rules that make it fair use, that if anybody tries to hit me with like a contract strike, I can be like, well, I followed fair use laws by doing this, and this, so kiss my ass. But what I was saying is there's precedence, Jeremy, and me and you and I think Rachel was there that night. We sat and watched this movie, The Banana Splits. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Never heard of it.
The Banana Splits was actually just like Winnie the Pooh was like a kid's television show back in the day, and whoever made this movie that we sat and watched just took it and gave it a horror element. They gave it a weird horror backstory. So
I don't even know
really
if
all that different?
I guess.
Is that really all that different than what they're doing here? And let's face it. I mean, I'll put this image up again. It's not going to be a Winnie the Pooh style story. They're basically just making a horror movie with Winnie the Pooh and Piglet as the murderers. They're basically just using the images and not telling anything slightly Winnie the Pooh-ish.
This won't fuck anybody.
What
You hear it and not laugh.
And what are you doing? Like, what? No, here.
I stood on the shoulder of geniuses.
Yes.
This is your thing.
No. Look, yes, I love Winnie the Pooh. I grew up on it as well. I love horror now. I mean, more so as an adult. And I'm like, but that doesn't mean... I think the difference between this and the Banana Splits thing is I'm like, well, we've all wanted Five Nights at Freddy's to be a movie. And like I said, that, and now that we finally watched Willy's Wonderland, I highly recommend that. Even if just you want
that movie.
Just for Nick Cage, why not? But those two are like the closest things we have to like something Five Nights at Freddy's related. The reason why they did Banana Splits is because, like, yes, it was a short-lived like children's show in the 60s, but they were like, but it is in that same vein of like inherently kind of creepy and off-putting. It's just weird. So they're like, well, we could do this. I'm like, there's nothing about Winnie the Pooh that makes me think he's gonna be in my backyard about to stab a fucking ice pick through my dome when I'm in the hot tub. Like,
well, there's something about it to me. It's in the movie I'm about to watch.
No. He's having the Tusk vibe right now. He's like, I fucking dare you. Do it. I want to see it because it's just going to be ridiculous. I'm like, yes. And like Rachel, the whole fucking chat is just Rachel now. I'm with her too. I'm like, look, I'm going to watch it. Yes. Out of the fucking curiosity of what this is.
We need to get together and all go.
I know. It's probably going to be so bad.
Without me.
It's going to be ridiculous. So bad it's good, maybe. I don't know what the hell. My next point was going to be how soon after. You made a whole thing, obviously. How soon after this became public domain, you're like, boom, horror movie.
Less than a year.
They've had it holding on the whole time.
You know what's funny?
But the time it takes to make a movie, Frank, you even know that. That had to have been the day after they announced it.
This has been public use for less than a year, and they're just about finished filming this movie.
Yeah.
So much so that they're releasing stills from the production and set pictures and shit like that.
But like you said, this is something you probably could make for, as we call it, bus fare. It's not like it has to be, and not good, but it has to just be made. It's not like it. I don't know who's making it. It's not like it's some, I almost said AAA video game, like some big Marvels type studio making it. I'm like, dude, I don't know.
Okay, so this whole thing reminds me, and I recently just watched the Chip and Dale movie on Disney Plus. Where they were, I don't know if you've seen it, dude. I'm telling you, it was. I just watched it out of boredom. I watched it out of boredom, and I had to say the whole time it was kind of like, "Hey, I remember that. Hey, I remember that." Like it was just member berries the whole time. But there was a couple times where, like, I don't really care about spoilers at this point because nobody on here is pretty much going to be into that. But like, you get all these, you get Peter Pan, who is now an overweight, aged man voiced by Will Arnett. So let all that sink in. Who is using a Coca-Cola polar bear as like his bodyguard kind of a guy. They kidnap characters or Disney characters, whatever. It's pretty much all Disney. And if they don't pay up on, what they owe, they get turned into reboot characters. Winnie the Pooh being one of those. And they film all those stupid like B-list Disney movies and cartoons that made no sense, that were just like clearly like imitations of what we have now. And when I saw this, somebody on one of my Twitter pages it posted up, and someone was like, "Well, he got Chip and Daled real hard," and I'm like, "Oh shit," because Peter Pan goes by the name Sweet Pete in that movie. Jeremy, I'm telling you, dude, at least give it a chance. It's fucking hilarious. Just the amount of references they drop. It's just like...
It doesn't mean they were good references. I've seen all the things where like, why the fuck did they do any of this? Like, why?
I liked it. I had to admit,
I thought the whole thing, too, is that they were apparently... I don't know if they got in trouble for it, or like they did the god-awful Nightmare Fuel Sonic. What they originally tried to go
they
with.
brought him back. That was fucking hilarious.
So
that was
I started to watch the video, like, how the fuck did they get away with that? I'm like, well, it's not like it's what they used in the end.
It was a mock. They were mocking it. They didn't steal anything.
It's a parody.
I thought that was funny.
I do want to read a quote from the director, though, for what it's worth. He said, "When you try to do a film like this, and it's a really wacky concept, it's very easy to go down a route where nothing is scary, and it's just really ridiculous and really, like, stupid. We wanted to go between the two." He said that this is not a Disney-backed product, so audiences shouldn't be expecting this to be a Hollywood-level production. So even he is saying, look, we know that this movie we're making is one gigantic joke. we're just
advertising it as
yeah. Yeah, because when Tommy Wiseau made The Room and everyone started laughing, he was like, "Oh yeah, it's a comedy. Yeah, it's totally a comedy."
I did not film it. I did not. Oh hey, Mark.
Oh hi, Mark.
No, all I see in this is you get a creepy Golden Freddy looking motherfucker wearing lumberjack clothes, and then you've got Pumbaa on steroids coming in here helping him out. Like, I'm just like, what the fuck am I watching? This is clearly going to be fake. But no, it's legitimately real. This is seriously happening, and now I think they're going to revamp the Winnie the Pooh ride at Disney World and turn it into a horror ride. I think we can all get behind this.
Yeah, I don't know. All I'm saying is give it a chance. That's all I'm saying.
We're going to see this.
I'm not, but you can.
I'm not
you can tell
saying
me all about
I
it.
won't. I'm just kind of gonna be sitting there like, but why though?
I'll buy your popcorn, Jeremy.
You better buy my ticket, motherfucker. I don't
Is it even gonna
Frank,
be the
let me know
regular
when you
theaters?
go.
It's just gonna go straight to DVD.
No, but well, I don't know. This isn't the same. Well, it's kind of the same point, but it's not in the same vein. Frank saw this movie with me. It's like we saw The Walking Deceased. I've shown it to you already. It's like that's just a parody. It's not like it's taking something and twisting it to something else. I mean, it's like it was kind of low budget. It was just its own thing, making fun of literally everything that's ever been a zombie film, TV show, video game, whatever. And I'm like, well, I just happened upon it and I found it. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Why not? I mean, I don't know. It was something I liked, but I'm like, I'm saying it stayed the same tone, but just being funny. This is a different tone shift, but I'm saying it's like I watched it because I was like, what's this about? And I love it. It's a hilarious movie. It's well done for what it was. But
if we go see this, there's no guarantee. You know, we may laugh, we may stop and look at each other and be like, "The fuck did I just see?" But at least I'm getting nachos out of it. At least I'm getting popcorn.
No, this is what we're gonna use that money that we won for the tickets that Frank gave us. That's what we're gonna use this on. I'm gonna hold on
Not Jurassic World, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
I will pay to see Jurassic World. I'm saying I'm letting Frank pay for this one since he has so much faith in it. I'll let him pay for my ticket.
I didn't say I didn't say this was going to be the next Dr. Zhivago. I said let's give it a chance.
No,
I will order.
Frank, you would give a movie of somebody putting a camera on paint drying for 2 hours a chance.
If the trailer's fire, whatever.
I will buy a Winnie the Pooh shirt and I will wear it. But I'm telling you, if Eeyore is not even referenced in the movie, I'm done. I'm getting up and I'm walking out.
From what they're saying, unless they murdered him.
We don't know yet.
The only one who's on there who can't be used is Tigger.
Oh, let's hope Owl.
So he can right the fuck out of the theater.
But the thing is I don't yet know how they're going to approach all this because
that's what I'm waiting for.
What did the Waterfield say? He says because they've had to fend for themselves so much, they've essentially become feral. So they've gone back to their animal roots. They are no longer tame. They are like a vicious bear and pig who want to go around and try to find prey. So it's like, why can't
fuck her in a mask? It's not an actual animal.
From wanting to eat honey to eating boobs.
To be fair,
bears like milk too.
We're gonna get some milk and honey up in this motherfucker like Snoop Dogg. I'm just saying.
I walked into it.
Yeah, but like Piglet looks like a fucking like I
said, Pumbaa on
or something. Yeah, or a Pumbaa.
He is. He's a boar.
From if you read the classic book, the guy who wrote 1984 wrote that book about where the pigs take over the farm.
George Orwell.
Yeah.
Yes, Animal Farm.
Animal Farm.
Yeah. Read that book. That's what this one looks like in your head.
Hey, they've been talking about making movies out of that for a long, long time.
Yeah, but you know why they won't? It's because they don't want people thinking about that kind of shit.
Piglet looks like a legitimate something you would see at like any generic like how many.
You know what that
looks like a fucking creepypasta.
You know what that screenshot looks like? That looks like some if they tried to make a little short film out of like a GTA heist. That's exactly what that looks like.
Let's be honest, they probably got these masks on Amazon.
You know what? I don't know.
Why didn't we just go spend a little extra money and just create I have seen so many people, I watch all these YouTube videos of people like making dioramas of random movie scenes or whatever. And one of the ones I watched was a guy who made, it was just called the Alpha Bear. And it was literally a group of the characters from the show being attacked by a giant grizzly bear that just happened to have kind of reddish fur up here. And it was a golden bear. And he was like, and I just totally made a giant feral Pooh Bear. That's literally what I just did. I'm like, why can't we just make a giant monster movie where it's just a big yellow bear, and it was an escaped circus animal named Pooh, and
a lot of things happen to be very similar.
No, I'm
not saying it is, but it kind of is. Just like 8 Mile. It's kind of
this circus is on 100
story.
acres. The circus is on 100 acres. You know,
they should have done this in animated form. Then it would be funny to me.
Did it be like Happy Tree Friends?
Live action is too creepy.
Yeah. That only makes sense to our generation. He knows exactly what I'm talking about.
But if you want it to be a real horror movie, though, can you do horror when it's pure animation?
Hey, it's new animated horror. New genre creation.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that couldn't work. That wouldn't be cool.
Oh, you want to see some? You want to see some fucked up shit? Watch Corpse Party.
Or what about I always laugh at the llamas one with Carl who murders the other one.
Yeah, llamas with hats. That kills people. Oh, I didn't know that. How do you not know that?
I had a hanker that only the human hands could satisfy.
My stomach was thinking about
Dexter. I always wanted a Dexter animated cartoon series. But whatever.
Well, there is certainly debate to be had on this movie when it eventually comes out. I will
not
definitely
my
you know me. I am chaotic as shit. I'm like, yeah, I'll see it, but I'm also like, why though?
I'm not happy about it, but I'll go.
Jeremy will hate watch this movie.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, thank you.
He will hate watch this movie.
I'll watch it in Braille form.
I'll watch it
we
just so I can shit on it, and I can honestly say that I actually watched it so I can shit on it.
I don't know if I'll hate on it, but I mean,
Oh, I will.
I'm still, like I said, Frank, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm still seeing that in my mind where Kevin Smith is like, I fucking dare you guys to make this movie. You know, talking about stuff.
All I can say is it's a good
that worked out, didn't it? Because that's a good movie.
But
all I can say is it's a good rave sells beer.
Yeah, it's an original thing, though. It's supposed to be a dopey horror movie from the 70s, like he said. I don't know. Hey, John,
we will not be seeing this movie sober.
No.
All I know is I'm gonna get high as hell and go watch this movie. I'm gonna enjoy it.
No, we'll have to carry you out of the theater because you'll be having a freak out moment of that.
Whatever, you're worth it.
Pooh Bear.
I'm
gonna run out of the theater like Pooh Bear's chasing me. Pooh Bear's chasing me.
I'm gonna be like 5 shots in this movie when I start. Oh my god!
Well, I will supply the booze.
There is certainly a debate to be had about whether this movie is going to be watchable or not. I don't know. Maybe there's a special review coming in the future for Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Oh,
dun dun dun. Go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. Are you excited to see this horror iteration from the 100 Acre Woods? Pooh Bear, Blood and Honey. Come on, curiosity is going to make you watch it. Come on, admit
chaotically, yes.
Admit
better not do this to Cinderella. That's all I gotta say.
You're gonna go watch this movie just to see how it turns out. You can hate it all you want, but you're gonna watch it just to see how it turns out.
You do know Rachel's gonna be on that review if we do that, right?
Okay.
You can have my spot.
I want to be on the review.
Damn well, she's gonna be on the call for that one.
It may not be a long one. It may just be Rachel hating on this movie, and me being like, "Okay, Rachel was right. Okay, that's it."
I'll wear a little yellow ears if I have to.
Maybe this movie's going to be terrible. I don't know.
T-shirts made to say hashtag not my Pooh Bear.
That's
and
what I
all
put
wear
in
them to the theater.
Yeah.
We should get shirts made and go in there like that. Ooh, we
I
should
will
protest
wear
like Kevin
yellow
Smith in front of
ears.
Dogma. Ooh, we should hold up signs. Not my Pooh Bear. Not my Pooh Bear.
Well, maybe now. I mean, we haven't seen the movie yet, obviously, but maybe now we'll actually have 2 movies that we apparently disagree on. Because all we got right now is Suicide Squad.
Look, I want this movie to be awesome. I'm 99% sure it's going to suck, but I want this movie to be awesome because I think it's just be cool. It'd be fun. This movie's probably going to be terrible, let's face it. It's probably going to be terrible, but there's a 1%, that sliver of hope this movie's going to be awesome.
Maybe the soundtrack will be good.
Maybe. I don't know. We got to wait for the trailer. Maybe the trailer's going to be fire.
It's going to be a metal version. It's going to be like, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, Winnie the Pooh. That's what it's going to be.
Oh my god!
Opening sequence by Rob Zombie.
Yes.
Would that help, Jeremy? Would you be like, okay, I'm into it now. I'm willing to give this movie a shot.
You can't
Rob
carry
Zombie
it just off
is Christopher Robin.
Oh my god.
Shows up at the end of Slay Poo.
Then that means by contract, his wife has to be in the movie somewhere. So who would she be?
Yeah,
She'd be the voice of Rue.
maybe.
Or Kanga, maybe. I don't know.
Kanga.
Yeah.
No, so I've got it. Here's how it's gonna play out. It'll be Christopher Robin. He's gonna it'll be like the epic final battle. Piglet's already dead, cooked on a fire or something. I don't know, whatever. He's gonna Pooh's gonna have one last comment, like, you wouldn't kill an old friend, would you, Christopher Robin? And he's just gonna put the gun to his head and be like, silly old bear.
And then you have Christopher Walken voicing over Owl Sing, and that's how it's done in the 300-acre wood.
I want 6 shots.
I still want that Piglet runs up. Pooh, what happened? He shot my eye.
Please tell me that if
somebody's just got to say, "Oh bother,"
bother.
right? Like after he
I
drowns that
guarantee
girl
you
in the
it
hot
will.
tub, I want him to be like, "Got water on my shirt." Oh bother. It's got to happen like
Better
that.
not have him pulling up honey buckets full of blood, drinking it like he used to honey, by the way.
Now you know they will, because you just said that.
The
We're
guy
going to
making
Disney
this
next
movie is
year,
watching
so
this
I
right
will
now,
not.
and he's like, "Ooh,
the guy who was watching our show.
I'm going to Disney again next year, and I know for a fact, because we went last year and Haley wanted to go on the Winnie the Pooh ride, and we didn't because we just forgot. So now she's going to be like, hey, we can ride that now. I'll be like, I'm good. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna go ride the Haunted Mansion. It's a lot less scary.
Someday when you have children, you can have Winnie the Pooh stuff for your baby.
Dinosaurs. Nope.
Okay.
Winnie the Pooh with
Normal
all
things.
over his face."
What's next? Looney Tunes rated R?
Hey, why not?
Ew.
They already kind of did that with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I don't think it's quite rated R, but I mean, it was pretty raunchy if you go back and watch it. But anyway, we'll have to retro movie review that at some point down the line. But go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and whether you think it's going to suck or not. Or whether you're even going to bother watching it all. I think there's a possibility that it's going to kick ass. A slim one, but a possibility nonetheless. Lady Cora, what's the next movie we're talking about? What's the next story we're talking about today?
Well, is age really nothing but a number? That's the question some Jurassic Park fans are asking themselves after Jurassic legacy actor Sam Neill did an interview with the Sunday Times. Neill discussed that he was mentioned in an article discussing the age gap between leading men and their female co-stars. There was a 20-year age difference between Neill and Laura Dern, who acted opposite Neill in the OG Jurassic Park in '93. At the time of filming, Neill was 44 and Dern was 24. Jeremy, is this a big deal, or is it much to do about nothing?
I don't see. When I saw this initially too, I was kind of like, okay, and just kept scrolling. I'm like, so I don't. It's not like it was. It's weird. I don't know why we're making a big deal about it now. I mean, even she said like, oh, at the time it was totally acceptable, and now it's not. I'm like, well, now you guys are like, what, fucking 70 and 50? Does it really matter? No. I don't know. It's not like they like. I mean, I know Brady could back me up on this. It's probably I've seen this movie many times. I'm sure he's probably seen it many times more. But they didn't really like do anything in that movie that you would,
No.
It's not like it's not like they were.
His age? I thought they were really close in age, to be honest.
I
He
did
looks young
too.
for his age.
I had no idea she was 24 years old.
I
I'm
know.
like,
She looks
I thought
older.
she was older than she is, and he was younger than she is.
Yeah.
I thought they were in their 30s.
Yeah, I could believe it, and I mean, I never once, again, up to when I saw it, and even to now, I'm like, I never thought about it because I'm like, well, that's not in the forefront of my mind. I'm not thinking about their age gap.
Even kiss, they hug.
That's what I'm saying. And when you're getting chased by a fucking T-Rex, I'm like, I don't care that they're 20 years apart. Weirder shit has happened. We're not bringing. Look, isn't that about the same age gap between? I'm sorry, I'm gonna bring this shit up again with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Does anyone care about that? No.
Yes.
It's about that same.
And they did meet on a film set. Like these two were working together.
Yeah.
Who cares? I mean,
were Laura Dern
there's
and
the
Sam Neill
stigma
ever
that-
actually a couple?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they pursued anything like that though, and even so, like
in
I know
movies, they cast younger women, more mature men. It's just a stigma in Hollywood. It's not necessarily good or bad. It just is what it is.
Yeah, I guess.
I haven't heard anything like it started this whole like a new Me Too movement or anything where it's like Sam Neill and Steven Spielberg are to blame, or it's like, I'm sorry, what? I don't see the point in why this is relevant. I think people just need to go after something.
I don't know.
So they're gonna.
I don't know. We're hanging on it still. Is what I'm saying. Yeah.
In fiction, Jurassic World, they met probably through work, right? People who work together are of all different ages.
Yeah.
So, I'll see the big deal.
And obviously, hell. Oh, that's what I was saying. Well, I guess what we're about to. As I was going to say, whether we know that this third movie to be canon or not, especially even with the second one.
It is. It's official.
Is it canon? Well, like I said, they didn't even end up together anyway in the end. So,
well, we're done.
I know there. Trust me, I was that my level of emotion in that moment was. I mean, I was like him. My breath was taken away. I'm like, guys, come on.
Are you talking about the whole scene where that got released?
Yeah, where he goes in the tent, he sees her, and then she turns around.
No, I'll explain it here when we get into the JP3 review. I'll tell you something that was on TV. You're going to be very happy.
Okay, I'm just saying, it didn't matter. And then maybe now I'm getting like Indy 4 vibes where I'm like, okay, just finally actually get married and we can all be happy about it. Okay, thank you.
Well, it's like,
you know what? Maybe the wind blows and the hat goes over and Sam Neill just like picks it up and they go off in the sunset. I don't know. Whatever.
Riding on a Parasaurolophus.
And he punches Shia LaBeouf in the face as he walks out. I don't know. For no reason.
That would be for reasons. For obvious reasons. Not for no reason.
Yes. I didn't say. He doesn't watch this show. I don't know Shia LaBeouf. I'm just saying. I didn't say it.
All I can say is if it's really that big of a deal that she was like two fictional characters, mind you, had the most laid back relationship. I mean, hell, it was so given as Jeff Goldblum. So I feel like, looking at Ian Malcolm, he's not very he's quite oblivious to normal things. They were so nonchalant about their relationship that it was so like, when Alan or Dr. Hammond is talking about, he's referring to children, but Alan's like, "What are those?" And she's like, "Some young adults, honey." Like she doesn't even just say "honey." It's just like it's very like like you got to have the subtitles on pretty much just to understand what they say.
Yeah,
they don't openly come out, and it's like, "Oh, you and Dr. Sattler are yeah."
Maybe blunt. It's almost like they work together and sleep together as friends with benefits. They're workaholics.
It seemed like they had a pretty. Well,
Alan's the workaholic because she was like dropping hints about children and
Yeah, true. I was like, I don't know what the level of the relationship is
expensive.
Like.
They're noisy.
They're smelly.
Smell.
I think it's clear. I think it's clear that in the first Jurassic Park movie they have a relationship. You have to be kind of a moron not to get some of the hints. But as far as the age difference is concerned, I mean, they're in a field where. It's kind of a small group as far as the sciences go. Mm-hmm. So it's not unheard of that a person like Ellie Sattler, who is working with a guy like Alan Grant, who is one of the leaders in his field, based on a real person, by the way, who is one of the leaders in his field, and they both have similar interests. They're both adults. And it's not like a professor hooking up with a student's never happened before. I mean, we only hear about it when it goes completely sideways, but I mean, it probably happens a lot more than a lot of people want to realize. It's just that nothing insane happens and nobody ever hears about it. So it's not unheard of, but I mean, you're talking about a relationship between two adults. So who really cares? Because once you hit 18, you're on your own, kid. It's like, I'll protect my daughter up till she's 17. But once she turns 18, there's some things that she's just got to decide for herself. And one of those things is going to be who she spends her time with. I might still have my opinions, but I mean, for the most part, it's going to be up to her to make those decisions. But you're talking about two adults. You're talking about two very intelligent adults, by the way. Mm. You're not talking about some high school teacher who's been teaching for 3 years hooking up with some 18-year-old senior. You're talking about a very, very intelligent guy like Alan Grant who was actually out in the field doing real work, working with somebody like Ellie Sattler, forming a relationship with her, who herself is very, very smart, very, very passionate about her work, very educated, very intelligent. It's like, it seems to me like that's the more important thing than the age. And to top it off, it's not like she just turned 18. She's in the movie, 24, 25? I mean, at that point, you're an adult. It's like you're making your own damn decisions. You know what I mean? So I don't really understand it. But for her part, even Dern, who is no shrinking violet when it comes to issues of gender equality, says she didn't even notice. That she didn't notice until it came out recently. This interview that Sam Neill had given. So, I mean, if she for 30 years now has not really cared, then why should anybody else? I think it's just a stupid talking point. She did say it felt completely appropriate to fall in love with Sam Neill, she told the Times, and it was only now when we returned in a moment of cultural awareness about the patriarchy that I was like, wow, we weren't the same age. So even through all the Me Too and the stuff that's gone on over the last 5 to 10 years, it still hasn't been something that's popped into her mind as something that was even a little bit inappropriate. So, whatever.
And that's what I'm saying. If that's what you're worried about in this movie about genetically created dinosaurs, I think we have a bigger problem here.
Are you consenting? Dinosaurs. Not important.
Yeah, it also says in this article that I was reading, so the actress has, however, often observed through the years that her character, paleobotanist Dr. Ellie Sattler, was not just window dressing. While Dern did not always see the implicit power imbalance in the age difference between Dr. Sattler and Sam Neill's character, paleontologist Alan Grant, Dern was proud of how her character tweaked the patriarchy. Yeah, she holds her own. She's not dominated intellectually or in any other way by Sam Neill's character. She's not dominated by Ian Malcolm. She has honestly one of the best conversations in that film is between her and Richard Attenborough's character when they're over the ice cream. Mm-hmm. When he's starting to come to this realization that maybe this was more than what he should have handled, and she's helping him kind of see it all through her this emotional discussion that she's having with him. That's some of the best dialogue in that film. It's like, so she wasn't just, she wasn't a damsel in distress.
No, she played that off when they
were a good power couple.
Oh, they really were.
Like,
they bounced.
He jumped out of a car. She jumped right after him. She wasn't afraid. Like,
no. When her man goes, she follows. No, like, I always love that though, because like when John Hammond's trying to direct her about how to get to the power or the bunker where Dr. Arnold was at, and he's like, well, maybe I should go because I'm a, and well, you're a. She goes, how about we just discuss Battle of the Sexes later, and just grabs a walkie-talkie and busts her ass.
Like, I'm on Channel 4, bitch, kicks the door up and goes. I'm like, yes.
And she's always, and I don't think, it would not surprise me if they wrote Ellie Sattler. I don't honestly remember how Dr. Sattler was anything else, but it's like, honestly, I can't remember if she was in the books or not. I just think she was. It has been a long time since I've read the books. But it's like every character that Laura Dern has ever played has always been that, like, when I remember seeing her in, God, what movie was that? October Sky. And she played one of she played the teacher. She even, that was a time period where women were like, get your ass in the kitchen. She still played off as no matter what role she plays, it's like, oh, you're supposed to be like a damsel. No, I'm not. Okay, no, you're not. Yeah. We'll write you in as. It's just how Laura Dern is. So it's like
she did the Princess Leia. She picked up the fucking guns like someone's got to save her skins. Boom.
Yeah. So. And she even made her way into Star Wars. So there we go.
Ironically enough, next to the person who said that very same line. Yeah. And she even has that little quip of, when Ian Malcolm's talking about, God creates man, God destroys dinosaurs, man creates dinosaurs again. And she's just like, well, dinosaurs eat man, woman inherits the earth. I'm like, and they both look at her like, really?
No, he looks at her like, what the hell? And then you get Grant, who's like, yep.
Well, in this article, she even mentions that bit of dialogue. She goes, there was a rather feminist line in response to something Jeff Goldblum says about man creating dinosaurs and whatnot. Dern said in a 2017 interview, she said, and then I look back and say, yeah, and woman inherits the earth. And that was such a big deal. It was like, here it is. We're in this formulaic big movie, and it's this fabulous, fun, feminist moment. that.
Yeah,
and it was a good piece of dialogue in the movie. It was one that everybody was.
It made
like,
T-shirts
awesome.
a hot topic.
Yeah,
yeah.
Which I own. I bought one for Mom just because I was like, I need a gift.
He bought one for Mom. He sleeps in it every night. We all know that. Look, I don't see it. I mean, we're in this world now where everything is so overanalyzed for, and maybe in several ways, probably necessarily so from some angles. But I mean, after Me Too and all this, there is this kind of this second feminist wave coming on, which I don't necessarily disagree with, but I just don't like when people are obnoxious about it. It's like I don't know. I kind of get it, but I mean, it's such a dumb story, especially considering that these two actors have never approached the relationship of these characters like that. They've never thought of it like that. It was thought of as a good relationship between two very intelligent, very passionate people about the same topic. That I mean, because when you look at these two in Jurassic Park, you're like, of course they're a couple. I mean, they fit so well together. I mean, Sam Neill looks a lot younger in Jurassic Park than he does now. Mm-hmm. I mean, but Laura Dern, while she looks like she's aged a little bit, she still looks good, and she does. Honestly, I would not have thought when I was first watching this movie that she was in her mid-20s. I really thought she might be closer to 30 at least. I mean, I know it's not nice to say that a woman looks old, but I mean, in reality, she looks like she's older than she is. Still very beautiful, of course.
Earlier. You're not in a bad place.
Yeah, still very beautiful, of course, but I mean, she doesn't look like like I said, she doesn't look like she's 18. Mm-hmm. So
no, and I think it's funny that I mean, you can't ignore the like, hey, this big thing came out, and I'm like, yeah, well, the movie's about to come out too, and I'm like, cool, now I'm gonna be thinking about that. Thanks for putting that into my mind. But I'm like, I don't care.
Oh,
now.
Yeah, just don't let it bother you. Just go. And
I'm saying you put that out there now, and then now the movie's going to come out in a few weeks, and you're like, oh, guess what? They're like 20 years apart. I'm like, yeah, but now, like I said, they're like 70 and 80, 70 and 50 some years old. Who cares?
If we don't care about them potentially being a couple at the end of this movie, potentially the next movie.
Oh, we all want it to be a thing.
Then why do we care about them having been a couple in a movie 30 years ago?
Exactly.
We want them to be a couple.
It's like we all want them to end this next movie, walking away into the sunset together hand in hand.
It's more about, I don't think for me, it's not so much about them, it's that Alan Grant has worked his whole life, and I want him to have his happy ending, and if it's with her, that's great.
Like I said, I can't wait.
His career,
I will get into that when we get into the JP3.
I was going to say, because how that starts off, it breaks our heart right off the bat.
It made me think of Castaway when he leaves
Kelly's
driveway in the rain, and she stays with the man she married. It was exactly like that scene.
I know it's like that's life, but I'm like, but it's like, but that's what hits so hard is because I'm like, that's probably what would have happened. I'm like, I know you don't. Hey man, he saw that lady that had the truck that had the little wings on it, the package she had the all time. Like, she just got divorced. You know she did. Go get her. Yeah. She was pretty awesome. That lady
has
awesome.
A friend in you.
Oh my god, fuck off.
Oh boy.
No, I love that. I love that movie though.
Don't stalk her. You know where she lives already.
Yeah, you didn't stare at that package for like over 4 years, man. Like,
Nonsense. Stuff of nonsense. But anyway. Obviously, we care about what you guys think. Do you think the age difference matters? I personally think it's much ado about nothing. I think it's this oversensitivity that so many people have these days. In some ways, I get it. In most ways, I don't. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But do you guys think the age difference between Ellie Sadler and Dr. Grant means anything at all? I personally don't, especially considering that we all know they're going to end up together at the end of this next movie. Let's just face it. We don't now when we get up to the point where we finish going over all these movies and we're gonna get to the point where we start making our bold predictions for Jurassic Park Dominion, I don't think that's a bold prediction. I think we all pretty much think that, right? that they're gonna finally give us that happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
At least gonna get it on once, like come out of a dent.
Well, I was just saying happy ending, like walking off in the sunset holding hands together. You're the one getting all purple.
I will get to that when we talk about Jurassic Park 3.
Speaking of which,
Alan Grant here, he's like, can we just get to it?
I will get to that if you give me the time.
Well, since you bring it up at all,
it just so happens.
It just so happens. after
I knew I brought this for a reason.
after I changed these scenes. I do want to remind you guys that one of the things that we've been doing over the course of the last couple of years on this channel is some retro movie reviews. And one of the things that we've been doing lately is we've been catching up with all of the Jurassic Park films in the lead up to the June 10th release of Jurassic World Dominion. We're breaking down all the films one by one. One of the reasons why we have our good friend the Brooding Gamer join us is because he is our Jurassic Park and dinosaur and video game expert. So, with that, we will go into that retro movie review. Lady Cora, give us a little bit about the plot of Jurassic Park 3.
Well, Jurassic Park 3 is a 2001 American science fiction action film. It is the third installment in the Jurassic Park franchise and the final film in the original Jurassic Park trilogy, following The Lost World Jurassic Park 1997. Film stars Sam Neill, William H. Macy, Téa Leoni, directed by Joe Johnston. It is the first film in the franchise to not be directed by Steven Spielberg, who served as executive producer instead. It is also the franchise's first film to not be based on a novel by Michael Crichton, although the film includes characters and ideas by him in the beginning of one of the books, including scenes from his first novel, Jurassic Park. In this film, Dr. Alan Grant finds himself on Isla Sorna, where a couple claiming to be millionaire thrill seekers offer Grant money to fund his research for a guided air tour of Site B. Grant soon learns that it was all a ruse to get his help in finding their lost son, who was trapped on the island while on vacation. Jurassic Park 3 was theatrically released on July 18th, 2001. Despite mixed reviews from critics, the film was successful at the box office, grossing, $368 million worldwide against a budget of $93 million. The film was not well received by critics or fans. It currently holds a 48/36 critic audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. A consensus review that reads, quote, Jurassic Park 3 is darker and faster than its predecessors, but that doesn't quite compensate for the franchise's continuing creative decline. Brooding Gamer, as our resident expert in all things dino, what do you think of Jurassic Park 3?
So I'm with Jeremy on this one. It's one of those, like, I naturally you don't like. I love the movie because it's Jurassic Park. It's what we've grown up with, you know. Yeah, there's some things in there that are quite controversial, and by the only thing in there controversial is we lose a T-Rex. We get our first ever T-Rex death because that has been the big bad, or not even the big bad, but the face, the literal face of Jurassic Park for 3 movies and now more. And then, you know, they tried to, you already knew something was going to be up when you get this big poster of the Jurassic Park logo, but instead of the T-Rex, you get a Spinosaurus skeleton. So they just, it wasn't them trying to, a lot of people were mad because I was like, they attempted to change things. They didn't attempt to change anything. They wanted to let you guys know that, yes, the T-Rex is big and it's bad, but just so you know, there's scarier. You know, there's
bigger.
other things.
Well, they got to go bigger.
It's got to go bigger. And I think that alone is the only reason people didn't like the movie. I think that right there, that was it. I mean, it's a really good movie. It has great. Yeah, it went through several rewrites on the script. They even said that if we got the original script, it probably would have been a whole different movie. There was a lot of changes. To my knowledge, there was no T-Rex death in the original script, and the Spinosaurus ends up getting it actually ends up getting a death at the end of the film. So maybe we would have been better off with that one. Maybe not. I don't know. Oh shit, yeah.
And I was muted when I said that. So for all of those of you who missed what I just said, this is the only film, I was reading this earlier, this is the only film where a T-Rex dies and a Velociraptor doesn't. The only Jurassic Park film.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't think about that.
Well, well, and also you said, you and I've talked about this, allegedly to break everyone else's hearts, not just their necks. That was apparently sorry, you like that one? This was the baby Rex from the second movie. Now it was all grown up, and I'm like, that feels kind of cheap. Then if you're just gonna show him or her, whatever it was, for like 3 seconds, and then I'm like, well,
and they never even come out and say it. Not even the directors don't come out and say it. It's. I think it was kind of like they just, because if you've ever noticed, each Jurassic Park movie going into Jurassic World, the Rex has changed. I mean, get it? Technology changes. You're not going to be able to recreate the exact same design animatronic every single time, but like every generation of the Tyrannosaur evolved, literally. Like, we get Rexy in Jurassic Park, and then when we get to the Lost World, you get the two Rexes are much bulkier. Of course, you've got a bull now, so you get to see a male T-Rex for the first time, and it obviously matches the fact that it's a bull. And then you get new facial structures, the eye bones, the osteoderms start showing up on the crest of the eyes. And then you go into Jurassic Park 3, and you just get this. A lot of people said that you have paleontologists who actually watch that movie when they're not nitpicking at the Spinosaurus going, that's not at all what that looked like, if anybody wants to know what apparently it looked like. And they say that, this T-Rex seemed very young. So given that, Lost World came out in 1997 and you have 2001 for that. So the T-Rex would probably have been about, what is that, 4 years?
Something like that.
Yeah.
4 years. So the T-Rex probably would have been about that age. And they're like, yeah, that's a young Rex. So it's most likely, and people took the animatronic of the juvenile from Lost World, and they took the picture of the one from 3, and they did these people went all out to match the facial structure up, and they're like, this is most likely the juvenile from the Lost World, just either that or it's just a random T-Rex. Because, I mean, let's be honest, there can't only be one. Well, if you think about
Rexy is the one, but
Rexy is the one. But if you think about it, with the Lost World, there was only 3 T-Rex on the island, which was the mother, the father, and the baby. Yeah. So given if those two have passed on by Jurassic Park 3, that would mean that T-Rex was the only one on the island. Because, I mean, you're telling me that you're on an island in Jurassic Park and you've only run into one T-Rex? I mean, come on. Yeah. But it's I think it was pretty screwed up though when you bring up, it's like, oh, by the way, that little dinosaur you loved and you've got a toy of it on your shelf, yeah, it's dead.
I think the point was, like I said, the marketing obviously was geared to, again, we want to go bigger, more teeth, as Dr. Wu said. Mm-hmm. You wanted to make, you want to step it up. I mean, it's kind of the thing like with any franchise. It's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. You do something different, people don't like it because it's different. If you do the same, they're like, it's just the same. Blah, I hate it. You can't hate him. You can't hate him for trying something new. But the point of it was to make that thing something to be feared, as if it's not already something to be feared in the first place. It's a damn Spinosaurus, but it's like, oh, it just straight up snapped the king of the jungle of the dinosaur world's neck like a fucking toothpick. I'm like, oh shit. You visually see that, and you're like, oh my good god. This is now the one, and then like you said, we start planting those seeds of when they finally kind of regroup and get back to the plane, and Alan has that conversation with Billy and saying like, hey, what did you think that was? Just as a little fun student-teacher test. He's like, so what was that? He's like, there was a Suchomimus. He's like, no. He's like, something. He said
sail.
Something else. He's like, yeah, not the sail.
I have a feeling that scene was meant to kind of call back to the scene with Timmy in the first movie, where he asked him pretty much the same question.
Well,
he asked him to identify the dinosaurs they're looking at.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, he is saying, like, well, what is this? But also he's like, oh, it's a Spinosaurus. And he's like, oh, that's funny, because I don't remember that being on the list. And he's like, that's because it wasn't on the list. And that makes me wonder what else they were up to. I'm like, see, that plants that seed of, oh, shit, what was NGen not telling everybody?
And you see, that's what pisses me off. That's what I mean. Because that comes along. Yeah, it comes along with the original script, because they have original script, they have original designs for when they go into the lab Oh, lightning bolt. Cool. Here we go again. When they go into the lab, they were supposed to find a giant incubation tube that had labeled Spinosaurus on it that was busted open. So it was being worked on in the lab, and that whole thing got scrapped to where now it's just them being chased by the raptor.
Like you kind of saw like the incubators, I guess, and because when they were like,
they were all there, but there was this is how you play.
He's like, this is how you play God.
Yeah,
trying to make dinosaurs. Like, yeah,
and I think that there was just that. I felt like, everybody hates on the Spinosaurus for what it did, but I feel like the poor thing got gypped because it had so much more of a story behind it that they didn't cover because of, I don't know if it was because they had to rewrite the script like 3 or 4 times. But there's so much more about the animal that we didn't get to know, which I think I reference this every single time we do a movie review, with Jurassic World Evolution 2. Anything that kind of, when they do their what if chaos theory scenario game setting, the whole Spinosaurus just kind of appears when you go into the Jurassic Park 3 section of chaos theory, which is the whole story behind that is Mizrani is having you grab as many animals as you can to take them over to Isla Nublar for Jurassic World. So you're populating Jurassic World with the dinosaurs from Isla Sorna. And when the Spinosaurus appears, it's like he's like, I want that. And whoever did the voice for this guy horribly failed at being Indian. He's like, I want that one. And he's like, so you have to go and get it. But as you're in the process of trying to trank it, like 4 or 5 raptors come out of the trees and kill it, like no time flat. So he's like, get the body anyway. I have use for it. So I'm like, okay, so that was a nice little nod that the skeleton in Jurassic World was the Spinosaurus from Jurassic Park 3. But it was just kind of nice to see that originally was the story, was at the end of Jurassic Park 3. They get to the beach, and instead of that guy standing on the beach and they're like, that's a horrible, bad idea, whatever, get away. The Spinosaurus comes out of the ocean for one last, like, okay,
kind of like a Deep Blue Sea, like Sam Jackson, just whoom, grabs his ass.
Yeah, he comes out. The military is not even there. It's just they go to the beach, and Spinosaurus comes out of the ocean, which I swear this thing has like teleporting powers. It appears everywhere for the size. You think you would hear it.
Probably not a big island, but I mean,
but it comes out of the ocean, and then it has like this square off. And then Alan pulls the resonating chamber out of his bag, blows into it, and then you just have a pack. The script, I think, said well over 20 raptors just comes out of the trees and just swarms the Spinosaurus and just brings it down.
Eat your heart out, Chris Pratt.
So
Alan
it's
Grant
like
did it first.
So it's like, I don't know what about that script just didn't work out. I don't know. There were so many reasons. I mean, you ask anybody and everybody will have a different story as to why the script didn't work. And it's just, it sucks.
Well, the script
went
on the a lot of iterations and several big rewrites from what I was reading. Because like originally there was some idea that Alan Grant was going to be living on that Grant wasn't out doing what he had always done, digging up dinosaur bones, that he had actually begun living like a hermit on Isla Sorna, and that he was like Robinson Crusoe, kind of living on the island, observing these animals in real time, all by himself, and he'd become kind of a hermit. But I'm like, okay. I don't really think that fits Alan Grant's character, and that's exactly what they think, which is why they didn't go with that. There was another script that involved a bunch of teenagers getting stranded on the island through some whatever means. They end up stranded on the island out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, 120 miles off the coast of Costa Rica. But that was a script, and they were like, we really don't know how we can put a group of teenagers on that island and not make it sound silly. And then they ended up kind of working it into the script that we ended up getting. As a matter of fact, there was so much trouble figuring that story out that in one of the, I don't know if I put it down in my notes here or not. No, I didn't. I think I made it.
Oh, I was going to say, like, you can put a couple teenagers on an island. You ever played Far Cry 3?
That movie, they started filming Jurassic Park 3 before the script was even done. They started filming this movie, and only the first act was completed. They were still rewriting the second act and still were trying to figure out how the movie was going to end when they started filming it.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
So that to me, and I think it was William H. Macy actually who plays Paul Kirby in this movie. He was actually very vocal during filming about how the hell can you guys start this movie and not know what the hell is going on in it. And that's something that he was openly critical about during the filming of this movie. Was that you guys need to have your shit together for this. And I kind of understand it because it's like you hitched your wagon to this big franchise which has already made a ton of money. For the late '90s, mid late '90s, it's like, why would you half-ass it the way that they seem to be doing it? It's a very odd thing for me as kind of an outsider looking at it as well. So, yeah, I think that plays a lot into why this movie didn't do as well. Because I watched the movie today, and one of the things that jumped out at me is that there's not really much story. It's like the plot is clear. But once you get on the island, it's basically all humans being chased by dinosaurs, which is a big part of the franchise, of course. But it kind of, you have these lines like what you were saying earlier, where Dr. Grant's like, what else were they working on? And it kind of gives you this hint of a mystery that doesn't involve being chased by dinosaurs, but never fulfills that part of the story. It's like the entire movie is just chased by dinosaurs, chased by dinosaurs, chased by dinosaurs. Then the movie's over, and these questions that Grant asks never get addressed. So the movie story-wise, it felt incomplete. You know what I mean?
Maybe that's the frustrating part. Is I'm like, well, will we ever know? You got to think that facility on that island had probably been sitting there for, I would assume, 10, 15 years at that point. So, I mean, maybe that's just for us to be like, okay, so how long were they doing this? Like, what were they showing us, and what were they not showing us? Like, Hammond said, I wanted to show them something real they could touch. Yeah, whatever. But I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm not, when I put it in that context, not too overly critical about the Jurassic World movies, because I'm like, I feel like we're kind of getting, like the thing with Dr. Wu, I'm kind of glad they went off with that more. I'm like, cool, he's kind of becoming kind of a bad guy, where you're like, oh, there's more of a deep-rooted thing here in NGen, where it's like, I don't know if he's got nefarious plans, or if he's just kind of, his hands are tied, and what he's supposed to do.
It's funny you say that, because I covered a whole video of that on my channel.
Yeah, go watch his shit then. He's probably better than me. I just watch the movies and I have fun. I
love that. Like, I love the whole.
I have to say goodnight a little early. I have to take care of some family stuff that just came up. I hope you have a great time talking about the movie, and I look forward to next week.
See you, Cora.
Okay.
All right.
But it does bring up it's kind of like a weird. I guess to put the Downton Abbey spin on it, and upstairs and downstairs. I guess technically Dr. Wu's kind of the downstairs. He's the guy working in the lab making all the dinosaurs and crap. And I'm like, but there's guys that are. I mean, is it him, or is it the guys that are probably got all the stuffy guys in the suits that got all the money? Who's pulling whose strings here? I don't know. It's interesting to see. And no shit, my camera's half off now. Thanks,
I know. I'm taking care of it.
Yeah, I was just
okay.
I was like, whoa.
Scene transition. But it's I think becoming a little more evident now that I like that it was. Jurassic World's kind of nostalgic. It's like, hey, this is what would have happened if this was successful, but it still went wrong because we know how this is a Jurassic Park movie. But it is giving us a little more of that more complex thing within NGen, so maybe that's a good thing. I think the seeds were there, and they're like, hold on, maybe we should actually expand on this because like you said, it does feel kind of like we've been cheated out of that development. I don't know.
I want to note that we got legit evolution from Alan Grant. I have to say that you get Mr. I don't like kids is now sitting at a sandbox with a child playing with dinosaur toys, and it was the most wholesome thing. I know, and it was the most wholesome thing on the planet.
And then they gut punch you so hard.
They do. But so this leads into, and it's not spoiler territory because it's been all over television at this point. So if people who watch this don't watch TV, not my problem.
Why are you here,
Jurassic World was aired on, I think ABC or something. Last Wednesday. Oh hell, I don't remember when it was on. I think it was like Monday or Tuesday night. And they said, come back, check out throughout the movie. The way to keep you to wanting to watch throughout the movie
they give you tidbits.
is they had tidbits. And one of the scenes that they popped up was almost the entirety of the scene where Ellie walks into his tent, and he's like, "Oh, so," and this because for a while it was the whole kind of like the multiverse bullshit, where people are like, "Okay, so is the Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 no longer canon because they want to just focus on Park, World, Fallen Kingdom, and then Dominion?" But he's like, "How are the kids?" So she's had another child. She goes, "Oh, they're great. They're in college, believe it or not." And he's like, "Oh, that's really good." And Mark, how's Mark? Which was the name of her husband in Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah.
And she goes, we separated. And of course, I'm sitting on the toilet at work, and I go, "Yay!" And trying to be like,
you just heard a stall. You just heard go, "Yes!"
Whoever was sitting next to you in the stall was probably like, "Whoa!"
Right.
Finally, it's out. No,
It's happening.
It's the most adorable thing though, because the way Alan handles that, he's like, I'm really sorry to hear that. I'm really sorry to hear that. And she's like, "Yeah, but now I'm getting to live, I get to live like Alan Grant. I'm out there, I'm exploring, I'm doing all these things." And he turns to look at it, and she goes, "And it's also, and I've learned that it's also," and he goes, "Lonely?" And she goes, "Amazing." And then she looks and she's like, "You're lonely?" And he's like, then that leads into the whole, "You didn't come here just to catch up." So I was like, "Oh, it's going to happen." So
I guess going back to this movie, like that scene when he leaves, right? Like right after they have the dinner and shit, it's like we've talked about, like when we talk about the age thing, it's like, but the thing is, I'm like, they have such just the two characters and then the two people playing them have such great chemistry together on screen. It's like you just melt. Like when he's in the car and he's just like, she's like, "Look, I feel like Alan Grant's kind of like I get his whole, because she's like, if you ever need any help or you ever need anything from me ever, just I know you forget to ask." I'm like, yeah, he seems like not necessarily proud, but he kind of is like he would do it on his own. He just would,
"I'll let you know."
Yeah,
I don't know what it is she does. She's still a paleobotanist, I think. I don't know, but she's obviously got some big connections because she's able to get a hold of the military to be like, "Hey, Alan Grant."
I'm okay with not knowing how she did that.
Remember, her husband in this movie works for the State Department, so she's got a direct line to the government.
Oh, that is true.
That's right.
So,
thanks, Mark.
Wait, didn't he say? Wait. I did kind of like ignore what he said. I don't know if I couldn't tell you what the hell his line was because I'm just basically like, "Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, get off this table, go away, walk away." But like,
Take care of the baby.
Yeah, call the wild one, get out. I mean, because I agree with Cinema Sins when I watched his video of that movie when Sam Neill says the line, he's like, "He's a great guy." He goes, "No, he's not. You shut your mouth. You take that back. No, he's not." Like, right.
Well, it's funny. It's funny I even mentioned, like, when she's like, "Oh, the kids are great." I'm like, "Oh, so she had another kid." I completely forgot that she walks out holding a baby in her arms.
A little one.
Yeah. Like an actual baby. So, whatever, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, bye, Mark. Well, yeah, that kid would be about in their early 20s.
That just occurred to me. I was like, how old were? Because when did this movie came out? What year?
2001.
Oh, 2001. Okay. Oh,
and Charlie was 3, right?
Something
she
like
says,
that.
"Yeah,
So
Alan, he's 3. We'll try again when he's 4."
So assuming that the
5.
newborn baby she was holding was like a newborn, that would make...
So it's about in its early 20s now.
Yeah, that would make the youngest baby about 21 or 22.
She said they're both in college, so that's about the right age.
In college? Well, I mean, they must be late in college, like close to graduating.
Yeah, because the other one would be in about mid-20s.
Also, depending on what they're majoring in, I guess. But I mean, I don't know. You get kind of
I'm like, they could still be in school for something big. I don't know.
Maybe they're studying to be paleobotanists too. I'm sure that takes a little bit more than 4 years of college.
No, I guarantee it's paleontologist.
Charlie wanted to be the dinosaur man. You can't tell me he didn't.
Oh, there's got to be some sort of a...
Oh my god, if that kid, like some 20-year-old kid runs through the door, he goes, "The dinosaur man." I'm like, oh my god, I'll lose my fucking mind.
Remember that time I called you for help and you bounced to Barney, you little fuck?
You took a long time getting that phone to your mom, dude.
I'm getting ready to be eaten by this damn dinosaur, and you're just like, I love you. You love me. Damn it, you little bastard.
I think going back and talking about this movie, I actually realized I loved it more than I thought I did. It's like,
yeah, like I said, I still like it.
One of the things I could not help but notice, and there is kind of like this law of diminishing returns for some movies, which is why sequels can be so disappointing. It's like you get a movie like Jurassic Park, a movie like that had never been made. I mean, visually, the movie is out of this world. Great story, great acting, great dialogue. The second one was a lot of that, but you lost a lot by not having Ellie and Alan in the movie. I mean,
had Ian Malcolm.
Not that having Ian Malcolm was a bad thing. He certainly carries the film very well, but you do lose a lot of the chemistry, and chemistry is very important in movies. I mean, it's that thing that happens and you don't realize it. You don't notice it when it's there, but when it's gone, it stands out. You know what I mean? So the chemistry between those three developed a really great balance in the first movie, and you took two of those three parts of that chemistry out, and you put in Julianne Moore, who was good, but she was way too much of a Mary Sue, a little too much of a damsel in distress for the entire movie, whereas Ellie Sadler wasn't. I mean, despite the fact that she's endangered a couple of times in Jurassic Park, she's not helpless by any means.
She handles it quite well.
She handles she handles her fucking business. So that movie did not feel the same. It certainly gave it a different setting by setting the last 20 minutes or so of the movie in San Diego, a different kind of threat. You've got, Tyrannosaurus Rex going around tearing out San Diego. Because one of the questions you're left with when you watch Jurassic Park is what would have happened if one of these things would have got loose in the city. And then Steven Spielberg's like, oh, here's part 2 to answer that question. But yeah, there was this kind of diminishing creative drive that definitely hit this movie, I thought. Because like I said, there wasn't really much story. It's like you understand why Tia Leone and William H. Macy did what they did. But then when they get there, like I said, they give you these questions about what were they doing on the island and things like that. What do we not know? But it never addresses that. So it gives you the illusion like there's a subplot, but never delivers a real subplot. The main body of the movie is them just running away from the dinosaurs to keep from being eaten. And a couple of guys get eaten. That's all great for visuals and stuff like that. But at the end of the movie, they get off the island, they just leave. And there's not really, I don't really feel like them just getting off the island was good enough payoff. And it felt like, not that the movie was poorly done, it just felt like the story was lazy. And again, I think part of that comes down to the fact that they didn't have the damn thing completely written by the time they started principal photography. I don't, for the life of me, that way
Steven would have been doing it.
For the life of me, I don't know why you would start filming a movie and not know how your movie's going to end. because how the movie ends is going to greatly be affected by the first 5 minutes of the movie, because the first 5 minutes of the movie tell you a lot. So how the movie's going to end is going to be directly affected by what you've already shot. So if you're just kind of making it up as you go along, those movies, those kind of productions don't generally go well. So that's why to me the movie felt very incomplete, because it's really easy to just say, okay, you're going to run away from the dinosaur, ready, action. And then you just film like 2 hours worth of footage of them just doing that, and then you cut that into a movie. It's like, well, that's not substance. That's style and not substance. That's what I think about the Fast and Furious movies. They're all style and substance.
It makes me want to go back in time. How long, like, in Jurassic Park, The Lost World, how much of the movie is them actually running from a dinosaur versus, like, honestly, with Jurassic Park 3, I mean, we've talked about it. You just talked about it. It's like they run from the Spinosaurus. They get away from the Spinosaurus. They run into the T-Rex. Now they're running from the T-Rex, which then leads right back into the Spinosaurus again. So they get done with the Spinosaurus to go, and then they get, as they're running away from the Spinosaurus, they get away from the Spinosaurus. Now they're being chased by velociraptors into a herd of hadrosaurs. Then we get done with that, which leads right back into the Spinosaurus. It is just constant running. Like, that's what I made the comment earlier, like the damn thing can teleport. It's everywhere. It's like it's
that horror trope of the guy of the murderer walking after everybody as fast as they run, they never get away. He's always 10 feet away.
The Spinosaurus clearly watched Friday the 13th before those people got on the island.
We lost all the ooh and ah. It's just running and screaming.
Yeah,
and that's what got annoying about it, because, like, as Frank said, there's no story. It's just like, with like the Lost World. I really enjoyed how the Lost World handled that because you didn't really have the chemistry between Sarah and Ian, but you did get a lot of okay, so when we're not running from dinosaurs, we're dealing with a poaching problem. We're dealing with these people who are taking these animals from the island and taking them to the mainland, which is a very bad idea.
That's a very bad idea. We should have a clip of William H. Macy just for that reason.
Yeah, when the tricyclo plots or whatever happened. I love that. How did you come up with that name?
I did laugh at that line.
How did you come up with that name?
I guess in all fairness, though, the thing they do start developing is like, well, there's this kind of like broken family that's now, that kind of trope of there's this traumatic event going on and we all become closer because of it. And we all kind of sort out our issues.
Yeah, I think it's so fucking stupid that it's just things.
The point is getting off the island. I mean, yeah, there's gonna be dinosaurs everywhere, and you're gonna be running from them all damn day. But wait, there is kind of the subplot of Billy being a fucking idiot and taking the eggs.
I honestly forgot about Billy.
I did.
I forgot all about Billy. I was like, oh yeah, he's there too.
So I just said, I was like, oh yeah, that guy's in this too.
And he's just alive after being pecked to pieces by pteranodons, and he's like, oh, by the way, I'm here too. No,
he rescued his hat though.
I read that was actually a last minute thing they did though, because they didn't want, for whatever reason, they didn't want to kill his character. They decided, so when they shot the ending, they just decided, oh, he will have been rescued, and that's why he just inconspicuously shows up on the helicopter, and then
where to just float down river.
Yeah,
like the whole time, like. I don't know. Like, there's so much about the movie that I love, and there's so much that makes me scratch my head. Like, do we know how old Eric is on that when he's there?
Didn't they say he was 13?
I think somewhere in his teens.
Okay, so you're telling me that a 13-year-old boy can survive for 6 months?
8 weeks.
8 weeks.
8 weeks. Okay, so 3 months on an island inhabited by apparently I'm a crush your childhood Spinosaurus. That doesn't make any sense to me how a kid in 3 months becomes Rambo. Like, oh, I've got all these gas bombs and I've now learned how to be the trees.
They kind of said like, oh, he's got resources. He's smart. Like, I don't know. I'm like, and he did say he read Alan's book. He read Ian Malcolm's book. He seemed kind of, I guess, into it a little bit. Like he kind of knew what he was doing. He may have figured some stuff out being in those labs, and he was inside that truck. I don't know. Because when Alan asked him, like, did they leave any weapons behind? He said no, and I used the last of the gas grenades. He had to have gone through everything. That would have
he did, but it's just again, this kid went. You can read Alan Grant's book, and you can read my book, and you can read your book, but there's nothing in that book that tells you how to fucking get T-Rex pee.
Well, you don't want to know.
It's like they play this kid off like he's secretly going to turn into fucking Rambo. It's like he's hopping out of trees with gas bombs and gas things. And, is this T-Rex pee? How'd you get that? You don't want to know. Like,
that's a little bit of
better off not knowing.
Yeah, it's a little bit of what they call in movies, and I piss a lot of people off when I say this sometimes, especially over on the Horny Goat, which you guys should go check them out too. They're doing their stuff every Monday, doing the Marvel breakdowns. But there is this thing called. Not plausible deniability. Suspension of disbelief.
Don't tell.
for the purposes of this movie, you just assume that this kid is able to survive for 8 months alone on an island full of dinosaurs that want to eat him.
We're already suspending our disbelief that dinosaurs exist.
Yeah, they expect you to go ahead and just believe that because it makes the movie work.
The only thing I can think of is him going back to, he comes home and he goes to school. And he gets this school bully and he's going to put him up against the locker. He's then going to flip the school bully, slam him up. He goes, do you know what I had to fucking do to get pee from a T-Rex? I fucking milk. I'm assuming that at this point you think that the kid got a hold of the corpse of the T-Rex somehow or came across it and like sliced it open to get. Like, then that means the kid took a fucking rock and dug through T-Rex skin. Like, this is the thing I'm talking about.
Well, I mean,
it's one of those like it gets you going like in your head. Like, what all did this fucking kid have to do?
Fair.
Turns out he's eaten 3 of his toes just to survive.
Well, this is before the Ark video game came out, so you can't say it was that. But I mean, you can't say that an animal of that size doesn't leave a considerable sized puddle of piss somewhere. I mean, it's not like he just stood underneath it like, okay, here we go. He didn't just stand there and
ready when you are.
Right.
Yeah.
He didn't stand there and wait for
just
takeoff. He just, he probably.
Well, hey,
I've always
T-Rex's visual acuity is based on movement. Maybe he just snuck up behind it when the T-Rex wasn't looking, and the T-Rex took a pee, and he was like,
where the fuck did we get that idea?
T-Rex didn't see him.
I've always, even ever since I saw that movie back in 2001, that was the one thing I do remember, even as a kid. Like, I feel like he went up to the dead body and he just kind of did what he had to do to get urine from the body. Because, I mean, that shit happens. So it's like, I always thought maybe, and it leaves it up to the imagination of like, what the fuck did this kid do? So it's like, kind of just enjoy it. You have fun with it. But then, like I say, the kid's going to go to school, he's going to get bullied, and he's going to slam the bully up against the locker and be like, I fucking jacked off a T-Rex for a pee, motherfucker. Don't touch me.
I know it was in like a weird little beaker or something off. I think it was like sealed up. But I'm like, I mean, do you maybe think it's maybe not necessarily, it's not plausible to think maybe it was in one of the labs? They maybe had a
no, he says, how'd you get it? He goes, this T-Rex pee? Mm-hmm. How'd you get it? You don't want to know.
You could have gone in there and been like chased by raptors and got it. I don't know. I'm just saying it could have been in a lab.
I'm just gonna tell him I got it. It's all a lie.
It's a better story.
Sometimes the theater of the mind is what you rely on. So when he says,
yeah, that's why I'm like,
they kind of let you go off in your own mind. Like, wait a minute, what did he do? This? Did he do that? What did he do?
Yeah, I mean,
a
because you kind of like the same face Alan does. He kind of goes like
a 13-year-old boy.
But I do have some good trivia that we can get into about this. Let's see. At around the 12-minute mark, the Velociraptor resonating chamber that Billy shows Dr. Grant, which was made in some, I'm guessing, Generation 1 3D printer, is actually a dog's resonating chamber, but it was increased in size to fit the dimensions of a Velociraptor's head.
Huh. All right.
I didn't know that when I read that. I was like, really? Okay.
Sure.
All right. So if I blow into a resonating chamber, I'm going to attract dogs.
It's like maybe that sound.
Since
it's smaller, it's only a sound dogs can hear.
I love if we wanted to be.
Maybe
if we wanted to be realistic about it. Go ahead.
Well, I was saying maybe that's kind of that hint of like Jurassic World, where it's like you can kind of tame them like they were dogs or something. Maybe that's kind of the joke. I don't know.
Well, it's any animal if you're there when you imprint on them. It's like people with bears. I mean, you see all those documentaries and shit. But no, like I love if we wanted to go like full technicality on this, like the resonating chamber of a Velociraptor would probably be about that big. I don't know.
To be fair, yeah.
I was like, if we wanted to be funny about that, it'd be like.
It'd be like a little fife whistle, just like
keeps it around his neck. Which I do love that the resonating chamber does appear in Jurassic World Dominion, so it is there. So I'm excited to see if that gets utilized at all. That'd be great.
He's gonna find out that it was misdesigned and it wasn't really working. He just got lucky.
He's gonna pull it out and be like, "What are you doing?"
He's like, "Damn it, Billy! You told me this damn thing actually worked."
I wonder if Billy will be in there.
That's what I was wondering.
Okay.
Or Eric.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
They almost killed him in this movie. They just didn't want to have another death. They were like, "Yeah, we don't feel like killing this guy."
See, I feel like that's that Walking Dead thing where I'm like, we didn't see a body. That doesn't mean
Joke's on you. He's the guy on the moped getting eaten by the Allosaurus.
Yeah, maybe.
Here's another piece of trivia from William H. Macy. When asked why he accepted the role of Paul Kirby, William H. Macy replied, "Because I'm 50 years old and I get to fight a damn dinosaur." I'm like, yeah?
Fair enough, man.
Who doesn't
want to fight a dinosaur in a movie?
Hell yeah.
If they came to any one of us and said, "Hey, you want to get eaten by a dinosaur in the next Jurassic Park movie?" I'd be like,
hell yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even need dialogue. You can just show my face. I just want to get eaten by a dinosaur.
Tell me which direction to run. I'll do it.
Shit, I'll even pay for my own plane ticket. Where are we going? Where are we filming? Hawaii?
Right.
You got it. Here's something we alluded to earlier. At around the 4-minute mark, when Ellie is talking to Grant, she mentions getting a quote from Jack Horner for her book. Jack Horner is a paleontologist who was Michael Crichton's inspiration for the character of Alan Grant. He was also a consultant on the first 3 Jurassic Park films.
Nice.
So, Brooding Gamer, are you Alan Grant or are you Jack Horner? Ooh, it's one of those.
Plot thickens.
One of those
body type. I'm more Jack Horner.
It's one of those. Are you this guy? Ipso facto, you are this guy.
No, I mean, I definitely would go with, I don't know, like,
If you saw his most recent video, it's definitely very Jack Horner-like, very documentary style.
right?
Which,
I don't, so it's fun. I think Jack Horner's still alive, I think.
Is he?
I think so.
Wait, look.
Do the math.
All right.
It kills me. Like, I love how much, even having a paleontologist like Jack Horner on, the side, on the side there, paying attention, it's like, okay, this would be more like this. And how, like, something as simple as how a raptor would hold its hands like this versus how they would kind of sit like this and then fold. I'm not even going to attempt to imitate it. Well, actually, it's a good thing I have this here. How the arms go on the side here, and they, would more be held like down that, which would eventually turn into wings on a bird. How, like, I refer to this because I actually watched a video today by the Gaming Beaver, which, Jeremy, you're familiar with him.
Mm-hmm.
He actually interviewed a paleontologist in the Museum of Wyoming. He's a well-known paleontologist there, and he would go over, he's like, oh, by the way, I wanted to show you pictures of, these dinosaurs. Let me know what you think. And when he got to Jurassic World, showing off some of the dinosaurs there, he lost it. He started laughing because he's like, I don't know where this came from and why Jack Horner was okay with animals holding their wrists like this, because if a raptor held its hands like this, its wrist would be broken and it would not be able to, it'd be like flopping around, when really their hands were more to the side. And humans can't do that because that's about as much as we can do, holding our hands like that. So it's like, it was great seeing another paleontologist being like, well, at the time he now knew, like, this is just what we knew at the time. Like, for the fact that velociraptors were 6 feet tall when they had the wrong species. It was originally supposed to be a Deinonychus.
One of the things that I was reading about this entire series is that during the course of filming these 3 films, because the interest in dinosaur fossils and paleontology took off after the release of the first film, that as more discoveries were being made, they actually tried to incorporate those new discoveries into the designs of the dinosaurs for each film.
Yeah.
So that, as a matter of fact, I think it was, as I was reading about it, Jack Horner actually mentioned that in between filming part 2 and part 3, that it was when the revelation that velociraptors actually had feathers.
Mm-hmm.
That it was right about, it was in that time frame that revelation came out and became public, and so that's why they actually added some feathers onto the velociraptors in this film through CGI to kind of represent that new discovery about the dinosaurs.
Yeah, and I mean,
also, Jack Horner is still alive.
Okay,
and
I mean,
I didn't even know this, and I know that's why they did it in the movie. You know where he was born?
Montana.
He was born in Montana, and he went to the University of Montana. And like he said, you'll never get him out of Montana.
No,
that's amazing.
I mean, the way things are these days, we're always finding out new information about animals. I mean, we're to the point where we've seen feather indentations on tyrannosaurs in their fossils. So it's like,
they are very closely related to birds. I mean, I like how the ones in this brand new trailer, I'm like, there's that one, I don't know what the fuck it was, running across that bridge. It has like feathers, and his arms they almost look like wings, where they're almost backwards now. I'm like, yeah.
Pyroraptor. Yeah, the Pyroraptor.
That's
can swim. Which I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I'm like, that's more so what it probably should look like. I know in this, I mean, you can kind of take it to this universe's version of dinosaurs. It's just, that's what they are. I'm like, whatever. It's a sci-fi movie.
Well, I mean, we even got to see the T-Rex with feathers. I don't know if you ever saw the prologue trailer that they dropped a while back. It's like 5 or 6 minutes long.
Yeah, I saw it.
To show.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you saw it. To show how Rexy became Rexy. It's like that T-Rex died. We got DNA from that mosquito, which gave us the beautiful bitch we have now. Like, but, it was really cool seeing when we, I don't remember what we were doing, but they showed the trailer on TV, and my mom was like, I'm sorry, does that thing have fucking feathers? I'm like, oh, yeah. So, Mom, about that.
So we're doing feathers now.
She's like, I don't like it. I'm like, well, she's like, I don't like it. She's not supposed to have feathers. I'm like, well, Mom, that's not her. I mean, it is her, but it's not her. It's, look, hold on now. So it's like, I think it's definitely, and this is something for people who focus on a lot of dinosaur stuff online, especially in the YouTube community when it comes to Jurassic Park, the feather discussion is something that has always been a huge problem. Like you'd have, when I did my my videos on what dinosaurs I'd like to see in the game, and whenever I'd bring up my favorite dinosaur, the Therizinosaurus, which had feathers, everybody's like, no, there's no way it could be done. This is stupid. And then you'd have people, it's like, well, raptors, technically, raptors had feathers, but we're still not putting those on them. And it's like, well, it's a big problem. You get a lot of woke people that you would not expect to crawl out of the woodwork about fucking feathers on a dinosaur.
Age gaps and feathers, damn it. Not my Jurassic Park.
Of all the things we can bitch about, it's age gaps and feathers. Since you guys bring up feathers, Dr. Grant unsuccessfully tries to coax Ellie's parrot to say his name because of his interest in raptor vocalization and his belief that dinosaurs evolved into birds. This ties into the infamous talking raptor scene where the raptor does say Alan Grant's name.
Did you just now realize that?
I did not think anything with the
I thought that was supposed to be the joke. He's trying to talk to the bird, and his whole thing is their intelligence.
I did not think anything of the fucking parrot. I thought nothing of it.
I'm glad I had one thing over you on Jurassic Park. I will take it. God. That parrot, damn it. I was like, that's a funny joke.
Oh, I did. Well, I mean, at the same time, though, it's been so long since I've actually watched Jurassic Park 3 that I'm not joking.
The parrot's name was Jack. Is that a Jack Horner joke, too?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I have to say, though, the one thing
the parrot Jack.
we named the monkey Jack.
Right.
My only inconsistency that I have with there's quite a few with Jurassic Park 3, but again, Alan has never seen a Nublar or we'll call it a Sornian. That's what people actually have referred to them. The Sornian variant of the raptors. So why is it when he is having his dream, that's the raptor he sees? And a lot of people have tried to speculate that, they're trying to rewrite how raptors were designed, and that's what they looked like in the first movie. It's not. So why? Why?
So it's the trope of it's not really the raptor talking. It is still that joke, but it's Billy. It's your dream, intersecting with real life, and it's him waking him back up. Like, hey, Alan, we're almost here. I'm like,
that was actually my next piece of trivia. Is it around the 17-minute mark?
I'm sorry.
The Velociraptor. No, it's cool. I mean, I love when it all runs together like that.
I love when a plane comes together.
Yeah, the Velociraptor that appears in Grant's dream sequence on the plane was intentionally designed and lit to look like raptors from the first film, considering that's what the character would remember. Stan Winston called that moment a great Muppet shot.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah.
But yeah, I totally dig that. It makes sense if you think about it, because his memories are of the first Jurassic Park and dealing with everything that went on Isla Nublar. So it makes sense that that's what his nightmare would be, what he remembered seeing, and not whatever has evolved on Site B.
Well, just like when he asks Ellie, you remember what they sound like? She's like, I try not to. And I was like, well, they sound like my friend Billy. Weirdly enough.
Yeah, I love that though. Like that becomes his topic of focus and more of an obsession. Really, I mean, he goes as far as to want to recreate the resonating chamber of a velociraptor, but it's like, I love how he focuses so heavily on it, but at the same time, he's still in the job, but I don't feel like he's in the job for what he was, if that makes any sense. He's not in it for what he was with the first movie. Because, he's on stage doing this whole interview thing, and all they want to know is like, hey, when you were in Jurassic Park, and he's wanting
because
to
now it's shifted. Now he's kind of almost a weird celebrity in a way, and he's still getting. He's still trying to do his thing, but
he's like, I don't look. Yeah, that happened. Whatever. And they're like, oh, next question. No, I wasn't there in San Diego either. Oh. But then when they're on the plane, I almost said the ship. We're on the plane and they're going over, and it's the cutest thing, honestly. He gets all excited. He's like, oh, and if you look over here, and then he just sits in his chair and he goes, my God, I've forgotten. And I was like, I feel like a lot of people, even to this day, like I said a while back, I want to say when we first started with Jurassic Park reviews, for people who hadn't seen Jurassic Park in so long and then went and saw Jurassic World, when they do the whole opening and you hear the music and everything, a lot of people probably had by God, I've forgotten like how this felt. Like I'm getting to hear everything. I'm getting to experience it in a new age. And it's just kind of like every bit of you that had all that love kind of just locked away because you didn't deal with it or be around it for a while, just kind of got it's getting late for me. All your emotions and feelings just come right back, and you just like, this is why I do what I do. I forgot why I do what I do, what the passion is, but seeing them, that's clearly, I mean, the events of Jurassic Park 3 clearly haven't chased Alan Grant away from dinosaurs. He's still clearly a paleontologist digging them up. So
yeah, you liked dinosaurs back then. Back then they weren't trying to eat me yet.
That was one of the nice things about what Brooding Gamer was talking about, that moment where he first starts doing his tour guide thing, and he does have that moment of realization. He's like, my God, now, when I can look at them from afar and see them, it's like I can see again their beauty in life that I don't really get to experience as I'm digging up bones. As much as he loves digging up bones, he does really appreciate these animals, even though they've been brought back to life through what he feels is a less than perfect way for less than honorable reasons. He can look at them as a respectable person and say, I really do love the beauty of these animals. I dig them up not because I want to get rich, but because I do respect what these animals were in their time and what we can still learn from them, even though they are in bone form and maybe even now in live form since they've been brought back to life. There is there is an emotional connection he has to these things at a lot of different levels. One, because he's been digging them up for his entire life. Two, because he almost got eaten by him. Three, because he actually got the chance to kind of meet his idol in a way. I mean, he idolizes these dinosaurs. So he got a chance to actually see them up close and see not just how beautiful they are, but how brutal they can be when faced with something that they are so much more powerful than, like man.
I mean, they had that moment they kind of reminisce back on it again when they're on the boat trying to go up the river and they're talking about Billy, and they see, you kind of still had that same kind of shot from the first movie when they first see the Brachiosaurus go by. And he says, Dr. Grant, Billy was right. And they're just kind of admiring all the herbivores there. I'm like, yeah, well, because those won't eat you, but it's still kind of nice. They
still stomp on you.
Yeah, they can still swing their fucking tail and probably take you the fuck out. But just from the first movie, like he has that. I mean, we love that line. They're moving in herds. They do move in herds. He's like got a tear in his eye. It's like,
yeah. Something I think I know for a fact I'd probably be like,
yeah,
like, the whole time.
It's a dinosaur.
I'm wondering if he's gonna. I really am excited to see where this whole like, how does Alan Grant feel about dinosaurs being amongst pretty much normal fauna at this point in time? Like clearly we have animals that have bonded with dinosaurs. I mean, again, you see a whole herd of Parasaurolophus mixing in with a herd of horses, or a stampede of horses. So it's kind of like now animals have kind of just started even like adopting dinosaurs into their, I guess you could say their niche kind of a thing, where it's like, yeah, it's like, well, I mean, it's, to a horse, a Parasaurolophus probably just looks like an ugly horse. I mean, they're all kind of just doing what they do.
But the point is, Ian Malcolm's still kind of like the "I told you so." He's kind of like, but dinosaurs had their shot.
But at this point, they haven't gotten off the island. They've been on Nublar and they've been on Siorna, but they haven't gotten off the island. It's not until the end of the movie when they're flying away in the helicopter that you see the not pterodactyls, the you know what I'm talking about. Not pterodactyls, the flying ones. But
Dimorphodon?
Yeah, are those the ones that were flying at the end of the movie? But you see them flying away, and it's like that's really the first point where they start to go away from the island. And I thought that line that he says at the end was really interesting, because he says, "Where are they going?" He said they're going looking for new nesting ground. That's where a part of me is like, well, where's that nesting ground going to be? Are they going to fly 120 something miles east and drop in Costa Rica and start laying eggs? Are they going to make their way north to Mexico and stuff?
Makes you wonder, are they going to refer to that at all?
That
would be good.
Yeah, and that's something that's not really talked about when you get into the...
They better put them in Enid, Oklahoma in this new movie, I swear.
They fucking better.
Well, I mean, you're the one that's been on that website, Brooding Gamer. Are there any dinosaur sightings in Enid, Oklahoma that come up? I mean,
there are.
You know what? Even if you want just like a little quick cameo of like fan service, you just see Paul and Amanda like look out their window like, God damn it! Like they're in they're like in their front yard tree, like fuck, there they are, and they close the blinds.
So tired of these.
I have looked to see if their names appear on IMDb, and they still haven't. Like, there's so many characters.
Well,
I've looked for. Even if it's a quick cameo, they probably won't put it in there. Like,
remember, IMDb is updated by the production company, so if there's not something they don't want known, it's not going to end up on there. Now, after a movie drops,
really? I did not know that.
IMDb is a great place to go for information on a movie after the movie drops and it's been out for a little while. But prior to the release of a movie, I mean, that is really just updated by the production company. So for example, if Samuel L. Jackson has a cameo in this new movie, like somehow he survived, and they managed to keep it secret for so long, they're not going to put on there Samuel L. Jackson as whatever the hell his character name was in the first
Mr.
movie.
Arnold.
Yeah, Mr. Arnold. They're not going to have that up there until the day the movie gets released, because at that point it's all going to be out anyway. So that's when they tend to really drop a lot of information on stuff like IMDb.
Yeah. Just Jeremy, it's the right arm that lands on her shoulder, right?
Left.
It's his left arm?
I think it comes down on this side of her, and I remember the thumb. It's like the arm just kind of went whoop like that. I think he lost his left arm.
It was because you see it that way. If you would have seen it on her right shoulder, if it were on her right shoulder, you would have seen the center.
I think it is the left arm.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it was his right arm and Mace Windu lost his right hand. He lost both his hands, actually. Well, I was gonna say he has like a bionic arm, and he just calls it his bad motherfucker. I don't know. Yeah,
No. He walks into the movie. He's got like a robotic arm and a fucking eye patch, and you're like, wait a minute.
Well, there's already a baryonyx with a prosthetic wall. So I mean.
He's gonna walk in, and we're all gonna look at the screen funny, and he's gonna break the fourth wall. He's gonna look at the camera and say, "Multiverse, motherfucker!"
Hold on to your butts, motherfuckers!
Hold
multiverse.
On to your butts.
I'm here for it. I'm here for that.
But a couple more pieces of trivia before we start to wrap this thing up is around the 26-minute mark. Director Joe Johnston created the famous Spinosaurus versus Tyrannosaurus fight. Really is an homage to Ray Harryhausen's Go Motion dinosaurs, and wanted to recreate a modern version of those fights. I don't think it quite hit the same. I don't think it lasted long enough. I would like for that scene to have gone on for another minute or so.
I know it's a lot of CG. That shit was probably really expensive, but I will say, you know what? It doesn't look bad even for 2001.
Oh, yeah.
No, it doesn't.
But it's a nice... Like, it's still cool.
Yeah, it's still fun to watch.
Do you know that the Spinosaurus animal... I love how I'm just sitting here like all like...
Let me tell you a story.
The Spinosaurus animatronic actually ripped the head off of the Tyrannosaur animatronic.
I'm not surprised. No. I was reading somewhere when I was reading some of the trivia stuff for this. One of the things I read is that Spinosaurus rig, that whole setup, it only actually existed from like the waist up, and whenever you see it on camera from like the legs, that's all CGI. But that rig, even only from the waist up, weighed 24,000 pounds.
Yeah, they said it was incredibly powerful, and that when they were trying to do some of the scenes, that it was Steven Spielberg the one saying it, so you know he had a good description of it. But he said that
Jaws, he knows.
Yep, it ripped the head off of the T-Rex animatronic. That's how powerful it was.
Yeah,
maybe they're like, put that in the movie. That's why
we can't do that.
Also, this is the only Jurassic Park film where the company InGen is not directly involved in the plot.
Oh,
InGen does not really have a presence in this movie, with the exception of using the signage as they go up to that abandoned post, whatever it was, where they find the kid.
Yeah, but none of the driving force of this movie was anything to do with
it's not like InGen has anything to do with what happens in the movie, and that's one of the things I was thinking of as I was watching the movie is what I was saying about there kind of being a lack of story. I almost would rather they had rehashed a bit of the Lost World Jurassic Park, and kind of like had them accidentally run into some people on InGen who were doing something to try to salvage something that they could valuable that they could get out of this whole mess. Like, be it maybe some of the less deadly dinosaurs that they might be able to put into a zoo, or some technology of some kind.
Compies.
Yeah, a little compy, something like that. But it would have given the movie another dimension if they would have just rehashed that kind of storyline. I would have probably gotten along with that a little more, but Like I said, this entire movie is just running it away from the dinosaurs, and there's not really any substance to it.
You maybe could have even started to. I mean, that would still raise more questions, but it's like I don't know how long it takes to transport dinosaurs and then make the park that we see in Lost World, Jurassic World. There's too many damn worlds and parks in this fucker. God, in Jurassic World, I'm like, I don't know how long it takes to do that, but I imagine they'd be starting to that process of like, all right, let's get what we can, and then start putting this over here and then building this brand new park that's actually what John Hammond envisioned in the first place.
Yeah.
Like you said, maybe that would have been a nice start to I don't know, maybe if they saw that, or even if you just found plans, not necessarily other people in the lab trying to grab stuff, but I don't know. I maybe that's why I like the risk. I'm sorry. Why I like the risk because it seems so not helpless, I guess, more so remote. It's like you're there with nothing. You're just on that island with a rundown facility that's, with dinosaurs that have been surviving on their own, I guess, for the last 8 years at that point, right? Because they said since the first movie they'd been there, and then, he's like, well, shouldn't they have died? And they're like, no. Well, yes, but they didn't die. So...
And apparently non-expired food from vending machines.
I would have taken it.
Well, when you're starving.
Beggars can't be choosers, man.
Yeah. 10-year-old bag of Doritos when I haven't eaten in a couple of days. I'll chance it.
Let's go.
Yeah. The Twinkies would have been fresh. You know, come on.
Yeah. Twinkies can survive the nuclear holocaust if you believe that stuff. But I found some interesting casting possibilities. People who were, considered for the role of Paul Kirby were Gabriel Byrne, Robert Patrick, William Sadler, which would have been fun. I like William Sadler. Mark Harmon, which might have been a bit much. I like the fact that we got William H. Macy, who, even though while he's a great actor, he can play dumb. Some of these guys can't. Chris Noth was another one. Stephen Lang, who I think was way too much of a badass. Liam Neeson, who this is before Taken. I don't know. I think
this is right after Star Wars.
I think at this point he might have pulled it off. Andy Garcia and Matthew Broderick, and another person who was also considered for the role of Paul Kirby was the one that we talked about to lead off the show, who just passed away, and it was Ray Liotta.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, that would have been.
Yeah.
Is this fucking dinosaur coming at me like this?
more funny to you, dinosaur?
Who the fuck are you? Hey, Tommy, whack this motherfucker right here.
Right. I feel like, you know what, Matthew Broderick would have been he could play that kind of...
That's what I'm thinking.
But there would have been, already like we did with Lost World, there'd be way too many goddamn Godzilla jokes. No.
Like,
I already know.
If I have to recast this with his names, I'm not going Gabriel Byrne. I love Gabriel Byrne. He plays the devil better than any actor ever. He's played the devil like 17 times, and he kills it every time. But I think he's too much of a badass. Robert Patrick, I don't know. This is only a few years after Terminator 2.
Yeah. No.
I think he was... I think he may have been doing X-Files at that point. Maybe. No, I think it was before.
You have to look at it as, could this guy potentially be owning a plumbing service? And because that's what he.
Well, you gotta come off as a millionaire, but also, when it comes down, you're like
a two-faced snake. Because you got to remember, the whole song playing in the background is Randy Newman's "Big Hat, No Cattle," which I listened to the other day, and I was when I'm sitting there listening to it, I'm like, no wonder they put this song.
God damn it.
In there, because if you've ever listened to it, Jeremy, actually pull it up, listen to the lyrics. You just sit there and you're like, well, shit, because he talks about how he called his family to his side and he lied. Ow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that could not have been and you wouldn't have thought about that if you had that song, because those words don't even play in the scene. It's just in the back. So if you listen to the rest of the song, that's where you're like, oh shit, they're talking about lying a lot. But you have to look at it as
they do subtle shit like that in movies. I do appreciate it. Trust me.
Yeah, but you have to look at an actor. Go ahead.
Robert Patrick has range though, because did you watch Peacemaker? I mean, he plays that douchebaggy, out of shape, like on the right between middle age and elderly. He plays that role really well. So I feel like
retiree kind of guy.
I feel like he could have played that plumber who lied about his standing in the world to do that. So I think he could have. I'll cross Ray Liotta off too, because I think he's too much of a badass. So Robert Patrick, maybe. William Sadler. I think William Sadler could have done it. I love William Sadler.
Yeah.
Mark Harmon, no, I think he's too much of a badass.
No.
Chris Noth, maybe at that time. I don't really know what he was doing at the time. For those of you who don't know, he's been in like Sex and the City. He actually just got in a little bit of trouble recently, and he's been removed from that Equalizer TV show with Queen Latifah. But I don't really know what he was doing at the time. I'm going to eliminate him because I can't think. Liam Neeson?
No.
I don't know.
You're going to put Qui-Gon Jinn in there? Nah.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know. I think at that point Liam Neeson was too well loved to play such a goofy piece of shit. Matthew Broderick, I think, could have pulled it off.
Wait. I say Matthew Broderick. I say also, wait, what about Schindler's List? That was not too long before that, too.
Schindler's List was right before that. Schindler's List came out in 96. So about 4 or 5 years before that.
I think so, yeah. So
I'm with Matthew Broderick.
I
mean, that guy...
Yeah.
Well, then again, I don't know. I don't really see him as, if you go to a plumbing service and Matthew Broderick is the face of plumbing, but,
well,
I'll figure it out.
I wonder if that maybe be a really deep-rooted joke as to why Willie H. Macy had that big goofy-ass mustache. I'm like, is that a Mario joke? Because it kind of seems like a Mario joke.
What about Andy Garcia? What do you guys think about that?
Maybe he could play like I'm a big millionaire adventurer guy, but like, I don't know.
So Robert Patrick,
Maybe?
William Sadler, Andy Garcia, and Matthew Broderick could have pulled it off. The rest of the guys are there. No, they're
They're
disqualified.
cool.
They're too cool to play a stupid plumber.
Mm-hmm. Which is funny because who's Chris Pratt playing in this new movie? Wah wah.
Still want more on
We gotta
that.
rethink all this. Now on the female lead side, the role of Amanda Kirby almost went to such actresses as Cate Blanchett, Sharon Stone, Lisa Kudrow, Marcia Cross, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Cynthia Nixon and Brooke Shields. They were all in on the role of Amanda Kirby.
You mean Sarah Jurassica Parker, as we call her sometimes?
Sarah
That would have been so
Jessica
fucking funny.
They keep letting Sarah Jessica Parker on TV, and she
You know what I'm talking about?
Dude.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Actually, those are all really good, actually.
I don't know. Like, you're going to put that sex symbol Sharon Stone in that role? I don't know. It seems
early
like too
2000s.
much.
I think she could have pulled it off.
I don't know, man.
First
I also
off,
remember
okay,
she was in Basic Instinct with Nedry's fucking Newman.
First off,
they were in that movie together.
I will say that Cate Blanchett can play anything. If she would have wanted to do, I would have them reshoot this movie right now and put Cate Blanchett in there just because I want to see her.
Although you know what she was doing at that time though.
What was she doing?
That would have been Lord of the Rings, like right on it.
Oh well, yeah, 2001. They would
That
have
might
been
be
filming
why
around
she
2000. They would have been filming around 2000, early 2001, maybe. Yeah, it's possible.
Those movies came out the same year, so yeah, that would have been.
She was away for a while. Yeah, that would have
better choice. I think was she took the role of Galadriel.
I don't think Marcia Cross would have worked. Sarah Jessica Parker, I feel like only would have worked if they had cast Matthew Broderick. Having an actual husband and wife team in there.
Yeah, that would have been funny.
Are they still married?
Yeah.
Oh,
damn.
Way to go!
See, when you said Sarah Jessica, I almost said it again. Fuck, Sarah Jessica Parker. I'm like, now see, that would have actually been funny if that was the joke. That would have been cool.
I don't know. I feel like, it's like all these actresses come in and it's like, okay, so playing the role of Amanda Kirby, I just need you to yell this name repeatedly. That's all you have to do.
He's got to run on a screen. Yeah. The interesting name that's on this list is Lisa Kudrow. I mean, because she was balls deep in Friends at the time.
Yeah, she was doing Friends, so I don't know.
So that might have been a huge advertising point to say, like, hey, we've got one of the stars of this great TV show Friends in our movie.
Yeah.
And I think she would have done every bit as good as Tia Leone.
Yeah. I could have seen that. Well, I'm trying to remember when, I'm the only person that plenty of thinks Friends is actually good and funny, and I watch it repeatedly, but whatever, fuck
it's a great show.
But, but I'm trying to remember when she was, not herself, but like the character was like pregnant there for a while. So I wonder if that maybe could have been a weird segue. But she was still very involved in the show when her character was pregnant, so I don't know. Maybe not.
Maybe.
Oh, wait. It could have been like... Wait, because they made that joke when they went... That little special where they went to London, and she couldn't go because she was pregnant. She couldn't fly. And she was not there for about 2-3 episodes. So I'm like, that could have been a nice little break to film a movie.
Well, she was there, but she was on the phone.
True, but you could burn her in for a day and put the belly on and be like, hey guys, how's it going? You know.
True.
I
I really feel like that since they ended up casting William H. Macy, do you think William H. Macy, somebody who looks like him, could have landed a piece of ass and looked like Sharon Stone looked back in 2001? It's like
even Taylor,
like,
no.
Wait a minute, you're a guy who sells plumbing fixtures in Enid, Oklahoma, but you bagged Sharon Stone. It's like, I'm gonna disqualify her right now because that never would have looked right.
I don't know. I mean, even the wife that he had in this one, I still was like,
saying, even Tia Leone, I'm like,
true.
I know you had a kid,
but like,
she's
Tia Leone.
She's one of those.
Sharon Stone. It was like Tia Leone's hot, but I mean Sharon Stone. Come on. And then,
your mom's no Sharon Stone.
Yeah, another Sex in the City. I'd never watched an episode of that show either. Another Sex in the City alum.
No.
Cynthia Nixon was actually in line for that as well. I could have seen that. Seen that. She's got a Tia Leone thing about her, so I could have seen that. The other one, though, was Brooke Shields. Again, to me, it's one of those things like Brooke Shields, even though she's getting a bit on in the years, is still way hot. In 2001, she was still way hot. There's no way that you could have looked at me and said, William H. Macy bagged this piece of tail. I'd have been like,
no.
Go ahead and feed that guy the dinosaur so I can take his wife. When the Spinosaurus is chasing me, I'm tripping him. And then when she's crying over his house, I'm going to be like, oh, it's okay. You can come live with me. I'll take care of you.
She'd be under that. She'd be in that water scene with the Spinosaurus, looking like she did in fucking Blue Lagoon, all just like perfect and shit. And I'm like, yeah, fuck you, whatever.
I'm sorry the tricycloplots ate your husband, but I've.
Damn that tricycloplots! You want to come stay over at my house so we can talk about our feelings?
Tell me where the dinosaur hurt you.
Yeah, but. I'm guessing everybody who wanted to vote in the poll has already voted. So with 13 votes, 69% of you say that you are a fan of Jurassic Park 3, with 30% of you saying that you are not. That sounds about right to me.
Yeah, it's not overwhelming, but
that's actually kind of right in line with the what Cora was reading earlier about the Rotten Tomatoes scores.
Yeah.
I did not put it on that sheet.
I would recommend, if you haven't watched it in a number of years, I would recommend watching it again, just maybe see if your opinion changed, because that's what I did. I was like, I still like it.
And like I said, visually, the movie's still every bit as good when it comes to the dinosaur stuff.
Yeah.
It's still good. I mean, if you just turn that movie off and watch the crazy dinosaur stuff, or just edit it around it all and just watch them running for the dinosaurs, it's every bit as good as everything else that any Jurassic Park movie's ever done. Visually, it's still awesome. In some ways, I think maybe even better, especially since over the years they got this information about what these dinosaurs actually look like. It makes it feel more realistic when you actually say, okay, this thing had some feathers here and there and stuff like that, so it looks more real. But also the advances in special effects technology that happened over the 5, 7 years, 8 years from the first one to this one. You can tell that they advanced enough to where they made this stuff look even better.
I feel like that they still kind of did the Jaws thing with the Spinosaurus. Like, you don't see it for a while. You know it's there, but you hear it or you see the aftermath of something happen, and then the big fucking reveal is when, I mean, holy shit, it grabs Cooper, boom, right off the fucking runway.
Well, I think the Spinosaur is only in this movie for like a total of 9 minutes.
Yeah, which is kind of weird.
So a movie that is roughly 2 hours long, I don't know exactly what the runtime is, but a movie that's roughly 2 hours long, only 9 minutes do you get to see the big bad dinosaur.
Yeah, and it's every bit as terrifying. It snapped a T-Rex's neck in half. Like,
yeah.
God damn.
And the T-Rex has been the hero in a lot of movies too. I mean, they've made the T-Rex the hero in the last 2 movies, especially the first Jurassic World film, where he's basically the one who defends them from the super crazy dinosaur. I forget what they called it in the first Jurassic World movie. But,
the Indominus.
Yeah, Indominus Rex. So, yeah, the movie visually was every bit as good as the rest of them. But again, it was just a lack of creative energy that kind of makes this movie not hit all the same notes. Speaking of notes, even that goofy shit where they're like, "Wait, what happened to your phone? I had it on the plane. I gave it to Nash." He's just standing there. I'm like, "Fuck you, whatever." It's funny.
You would appreciate that one of the in Jurassic World Evolution 2, so on occasion you can create dinosaurs, or obviously you create dinosaurs, but on occasion you'll get like notifications like let's say the Allosaurus has been found in Texas. So you can have that animal brought over to your park. And on occasion, you'll get an ailment where you'll hear a cell phone. And it will just walk around. And that's awesome. It is the best thing. And when I actually treated it, because you have to take it and move it over to a paleo medical facility, I treated it and I unlocked a little bit of because you unlock things throughout the game as like, character info and locations, dinosaur knowledge. But as you unlock characters, when you treat a carnivore with that ailment, you unlock Nash as a character, as a just awesome information. But the only thing it shows is it'll give like pictures. So like certain characters have their pictures on the info page and some don't. So like, for example, Dennis Nedry is the can. Instead of them actually using Knight's actual picture, it's just the Barbasol can. For Nash, it's the Spinosaurus. And I'm like, that's funny. Okay, whatever.
Should have been the whatever. That would have been funny. That's awesome.
Hell yeah. But I think that's a pretty good place to wrap this up. We have done plenty of talking about all kinds of stories, and especially about dinosaur stuff tonight. There will be plenty more dinosaur stuff to go into, as next week we'll be going over some of the stuff that is going on in the world of entertainment and television and whatnot, and we will be breaking down the Lost World, Jurassic World. I'm sorry, we're done with the Jurassic Park.
You did it too.
We'll be breaking down. Yeah, they're all Jurassic Park movies to me. We'll be breaking down Jurassic World, the first of the newer trilogy that was eventually taken over by Star-Lord and by Dallas Bryce Howard, Ron Howard's daughter. That's the best way. That's how I remember who she is. But before we get to that, we got to say goodbye tonight. And let's say goodbye to my great co-host. Cora had to cut out a little bit early. She had some stuff going on. We're very thankful that she joined us as always. She will more than likely be back next week. But Jeremy, where can the folks at home find you?
Well, I'm always here on Thursdays and on Mondays when we do big movie reviews of new releases. But I like how I always go into a side question about scheduling. Something we probably should mention, we're also going to be doing the Obi-Wan series, I imagine, which starts tomorrow.
That starts tomorrow. We're probably going to be talking about that next Thursday.
I was like, should we do it Monday? Because I'm like, maybe.
No, because well, I try to save Mondays for the big reviews, because I can't take every Monday off now. But at the same time, the guys over at Alex and the Garbage Man, they were going live the same time as us on Thursdays. They actually moved their show to Mondays because of reasons they had. And, of course, one of the reasons they gave was that they thought it might help our viewership on Thursdays, not having to split some of the viewers in the community. So while I may save the bigger reviews for Monday, I don't really want to do a lot of stuff on Mondays.
Okay. I just figured because it was on Friday. I don't know if they continue to do it on Fridays. Monday would make sense. That's why I don't know.
When were we planning on doing Dominion?
That's the day before. Anyway, Dominion.
Now, I've got us doing that on Monday, June 13th. The movie comes out the 10th on Friday, and we will be doing ours on Monday the 13th.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So, like he said, I am here Thursdays doing these shenanigans as always, and on Mondays we're doing new releases, trying not to take airtime away from anyone else because we're all trying to exist here. Also over on Twitch, continuing the Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga video game. We are on the last two movies now. We've been kind of cranking out like two of the movies per stream. Just kind of running through it now because now we're into the original stuff. Those two movies were never made into a Lego game, so this is kind of exciting. They stopped at Force Awakens, so. And then from there, it's just trying to unlock everything. So that's gonna be a fun adventure. And also over on Twitter, that's where if anywhere you go there, because that's where you'll find whenever I update something, or if I find something cool or something funny or something stupid like a fucking Pooh Bear movie that's a horror movie. But anyway, that's the best place to find me.
And how about you, the Brooding Gamer? First off, how much battery life do you have left?
Less than 20%. I had the 20% mark a little bit ago. I haven't gotten the 5% warning yet, so we're good. I am, of course, on YouTube. I think you said my channel is linked down below. Right now, we're still just kind of working on I'm reviewing stuff like this particular brand of figure. I've started going into dabbling. I may have spent roughly almost $400 on Jurassic Park Kenner figures from when the first movie came out on Amazon. That didn't happen. Didn't happen.
Very no expense.
Shut up. I will use that when I do that video review, though.
You're welcome.
We'll be reviewing stuff like that here shortly, and I, of course, just uploaded the first of hopefully soon to be many epic toy reviews with the Therizinosaurus and my stupid self going out in the forest at 11:30 at night by myself in a thunderstorm.
You should watch the video. It's amazing. Like I said, I helped film part of it. Rachel was also inadvertently helping as well, so it's a hilarious video. You guys should watch it.
Check out the credits, Jeremy, because I put you in as Jeremy, aka Grim Tuesday. I couldn't remember if it was 2 M's in Grim or just 1.
It's 1. You had it right.
Okay, good.
I
Okay,
looked. The other thing is, I'm like, I don't think we gave you Rachel's name, so I'm like, you just put the screen.
I just put
Rachel. I'm like,
Rachel.
Well,
Rachel. I was like,
see, if I would have fucked around too much on that set, I would have been like with a mask running around like Rachel, just running down in the woods. I can get you her name if like you'd still need us for shit.
I'd like to collaborate with you guys more. It was great, especially if we're gonna do something for Frank for when we do Dominion. We still need to figure out how we're gonna do that.
I want to bring my character out finally. I just don't know how I want to do that. It wouldn't fit into your narrative, but it'd just be kind of funny.
Who the hell is this guy? Scary.
Roar.
I'm sitting in the woods like, hey kid, you ever seen that dinosaur? I've seen it. I've seen some shit.
I've seen some things, man, and some stuff.
You weren't there, man. You weren't there.
You weren't
Charlie
there
in the bush.
You weren't there on Isla Nublar, man. You don't know what went down. I was in the jungle fighting the dinosaurs, man. I sound like an asshole for like mocking Vietnam veterans right now.
Let it be known we appreciate our military service, men and women.
We very much do.
It's a joke.
As for me, you could find me here every Thursday going over all the stuff that is happening in news and entertainment, television, all that good stuff, giving you my thoughts on all the craziness that goes on in the entertainment industry. You can find me on Sundays over on the Derailed News and Podcast, where we are going over all the other stuff that happens around the world. You get my thoughts on some of the headier topics going on. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers with everybody in Houston or in Uvalde, Texas right now with everything that went on there a couple days ago. That's just a terrible story. So if you have some way of supporting some of the people down there in that small community that has just been completely destroyed by that whole mess, I hope that you will reach out to them and do so. Other than that, you will find me, like I said, our next Monday review, movie-specific review, is scheduled for the 13th of next month. That will be Jurassic World, Dominion, me, Jeremy, Brooding Gamer, Cora, maybe even somebody else. I don't know yet. You know what? Actually, a little bit of a program note. My buddy Aaron, who's been on the show with me several times, actually stopped by my house yesterday, and he's actually thinking about moving to my area.
Nice.
And transferring his work from where he lives to this area. So there may be an opportunity to get Aaron on the show a little bit more often too. And that's where I'd like to be. It's like if I always said it's like I kind of like the thing with like me, Jeremy, and Cora. And, Brooding Gamer's obviously been kicking ass, and having him on more often, even for some non-Jurassic Park stuff, would be fun. But I'd like to try to add Aaron in a little bit more of a regular capacity. So maybe that's going to happen at some point too. It'd be really nice to have him back on the channel again.
Now, you can just like walk down to his house and be like, motherfucker, get in here, we're doing a video.
Yeah, now if he disappears and doesn't answer me, I can just walk over there and slap him and be like, get in the car, bitch, we're YouTubing.
Right.
But that's where you can find us all. Don't forget to go down and hit us up on Patreon if you want to support the channel through there, and Discord so you can keep the movie talk going when we are not actively online. Thank you all for joining us. We had good viewership again tonight, and we will see you next week when we go over Jurassic World. We will see you guys later on. Adios.
Yeah.